And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 15th round of the 11th season of the Bandit Racing League, presented by Full Send Racing Network. Tonight we come to you live from virtual Darlington Raceway here on the iRacing service for Throwback Night. That's right, it is Throwback Paint Scheme Night here tonight at Darlington, sponsored by one of the fan favorites of the series, the 85 car of Cody Welch. It is going to be a very fun night of festivities tonight. Right off the bat, the big storyline obviously going to be it is playoff time here in the Bandit Racing League, and that means, well, we have plenty to cover both pre and during the race tonight. But first of all, we want to, as always, thank our sponsors, such as Perfect Shine Auto Spa. On behalf of Kevin Foster and the entire GFR Racing team, we, as always, thank Perfect Shine Auto Spa for their contribution to the series, as well as Apex Sim Racing for your place for all things premier sim racing accessories. To get yourself started in the world of sim racing and motorsports, go to apexsimracing.com and use our link down in the description. Hi everybody, I am as always your host, Mr. Marshall Crocker Jr., and unfortunately, due to some camera confusion is the issue of the night, unfortunately we will not have the live camera, at least for me tonight, although as always for the drivers and all of our lovely participants tonight, we will be as usual, so we'll try to highlight them tonight a little bit more than myself. That being said, it will be me solo for a period of this broadcast, that being hopefully the first 5 to 10 minutes here for the intros. Unfortunately, Chris Ferreira just running late due to some personal obligations, but he will be here momentarily, and we will be, as usual, a two-man team, so we'll just keep an eye on him in the background whenever he pops in. But well, the big storylines here tonight going into Darlington. We want to kind of set up where we are in the playoffs, talk a little bit about what the first round held at the Roval. Of course, those of you who were around last Wednesday know darn well what happened at Roval. But first of all, let's just quickly go over the schedule. So last week, Roval on the 7th of June. Today, of course, June 14th. We're ready for 125 laps around Darlington Raceway. Following that, we have Chicagoland in next week for 125 laps. And then in 2 weeks' time, the finale for the first round of the chase. It is Talladega for Talladega Superspeedway. 100 laps will be the final race that settles this round and then declares the 8 drivers moving on to our second round cutoff at Michigan, Bristol, and Richmond. Here, folks, is the update. We'll bring the music back in for us just to watch and see where we are here live in our current playoff situation. But yes, right now the only driver punched in round 2 of the playoffs is fittingly the 2-car last week's winner, Nick Nickerson. He was dominant at the Roval, led start to finish, flag to flag. It was an incredible performance. Those of you that caught it, which I'm sure as most of you can vouch, that one of the best performances we've ever seen in the Bandit Racing League from Nick last week. But then we move on to Brett Guzik, who is the first driver who has yet to officially punch his ticket to the round of 8, but is in a very favorable spot. Sits 11 points above the cutoff. So we go down from there. Guzik, Hamilton, Connor Gibson, with what shouldn't be a surprise at this point, but another great performance from him, scoring his first top 5 of the season, and what a week to do it in the first round of the playoffs. He's now 8 points above the cutoff line. 7 points above sits Ricky Hart Jr., Mark Allen Bivens 6 above. Kevin Foster put himself in the good books in the last couple laps of last week's race. And Cody Welch, who initially sat second with 5 laps to go at the Roval, unfortunately comes home all the way down there, only 4 points above the cutoff line. So those of you that saw the unfortunate strategy call there, the extra pit stop needed for Cody Welch, that was extremely detrimental and unfortunately is what leads him to be sitting 8th right now in the playoff seeding with 3 weeks to go until the cutoff for the round of 8. After that, it's Curtis Yancey, who currently sits 4 points below the cut line, with Jackson Knock rounding him off 3 points later, following Eddie Hagee. And following him is Benjamin Lacey, who of course did not make the race at Roval, missed the first round, and will be behind the 8 ball tonight. So it's a very different situation for every driver in this playoff. Of course, you're Benjamin Lacey. You really want to either make up a whole whack ton of points tonight, or you want to get a win on route to Chicagoland and Talladega to put yourself in a more favorable situation. Very quickly, before we get on to Chris Ferreira, who has just joined us up here in the booth, we are very quickly going to do a little ride around here with our sort of showcase driver of the race. We always like to give the opportunity to a driver to kind of show us the track here in the playoffs and help give us a little bit of information about what we should expect for this week. So we're going to go to Sean Britt here, not a playoff driver, very nearly missed the cut off just narrowly here a few weeks back, but he is going to give us the tour, the Rolesville, North Carolina native. We're going to put him on here in just a moment. Let's see if we got Sean Britt up here in the booth. Hey, Sean, it is Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy? Hey, awesome. Good to hear from you, Sean. And, well, this is going to be a great opportunity here. We always like to talk to one of our top drivers for tonight, somebody who's looking favorable to be pretty quick, and then get their perspective here in a quick ride around the Darlington Raceway. So you're currently sitting 4th on the practice leaderboard. We know there's going to be some pace, and, well, we'll see. We got 48 seconds left in practice, so give us a quick lap around. Maybe we'll follow you for your warm-up in qualifying, and then we'll let you do your thing. But, yeah, any tips, any inferences you can give us as we ride around at Darlington here?
At Darlington, you kind of just want to keep your momentum up. It's like those tracks like Homestead where you want to run the high line. That's typically where you're going to see a lot of drivers be at. You might see some drivers go and arc it down a little bit, do like a arc type of thing where they'll enter low, go up high in the middle of the turn, and then exit low. So it's going to be a variety of ways that people are going to run this track. It's just going to be on preference and how good they can run it for a long time. I don't know how long we're going to be able to run for. Hopefully we'll have some green flag runs, but we'll see what we get tonight.
Awesome. And are you thinking this is going to be a race of guys really showing their pace right off the start of the stints, or is this going to be a pretty conservative, save for the long runs type of race like we've seen in the past?
I think for tonight we're gonna see a lot of people save it for the end. I don't think a lot of people want to go and wreck it at the beginning. I think a lot of people might want to go and, stay consistent, be able to make it to the end instead of getting caught up early in a wreck and have their day shortened.
No, I think you're absolutely right there. It's great to get a chance to get that info from you, Sean. We know you're going to be quick tonight, and I feel like that strategy of race plays well to your style. So we're hoping for again that first career win from you, and it's we know it's coming soon for the 98. So best of luck for you.
All right, thank you.
There we are. Also to get the chance to talk to Mr. Sean Britt, driver of the number 98 car, as he starts off in his practice attempt. We currently watch Curtis Yancey heading around the track here. But speaking of talking to faces or longtime members of the broadcast booth, we've talked to Sean a couple times. He's actually co-commentated alongside me up here in the booth. But tonight's co-commentator is now joining us, Mr. Chris Ferreira. How are we doing tonight?
Hey, Marshall. So sorry for running a little bit behind there, but it's good to be here tonight. This is going to be a great race. I love Darlington. Such a cool track, unique track. Just the egg-shaped layout is so much fun, and how you have to pretty much run up towards the wall, like Sean was saying. It just makes for some really fun and exciting racing. You're racing against your competitors. You're racing against not getting into the wall and really tearing up the right side of your race car. So I'm excited for this one. I'm hoping that we get some green flag stints. Traditionally in the past, we've had night races here, so it's kind of cool to have a day race. I think that the higher track temps are going to make for some different kind of racing. So excited to see all that. And it's a playoff race too. So there's a lot to look forward to. I know you already touched on it with the points. So there's a lot to keep your eye on tonight.
Yeah, we did go over the playoff standings there, and there's going to be some interesting storylines. Guys in good spots, guys in bad spots. But we watch here Benjamin Lacey finishing off his second lap here in qualifying. And, it's inarguable, I think, Chris, the guy with the most to gain here in the second race at Darlington, but a guy that I think could absolutely run well here tonight. I think Benjamin Lacey's in contention, and after Sean Britt, the guy who just did our track preview lap, he went to the pole. Lacey puts it in second. Really, really good lap from the 7 car.
Yeah, if you're looking at Benjamin Lacey's situation here, I wouldn't be all too concerned. We still have 3 more races in this round. A track like this really suits him. Talladega's, the outlier there where anything can happen there, but this is a track where that's high tire degradation, and that's what suits Benjamin. If you look at where he won at last, Auto Club, there's a lot of tire fall off there, and that's what you're going to see tonight. And managing your tires is going to be huge. So I'm looking for him to be strong tonight as long as he keeps that thing out of trouble. And he doesn't necessarily need a win at this point, I don't think. We'll have to see how this night shakes up and see where we're going into Chicagoland for him. But I'm not too concerned if I'm a Benjamin Lacey fan, but certainly needs a good performance tonight.
Other guy we got to talk about is his teammate. Obviously, tonight's race sponsor here for Darlington Throwback Night. Of course, plenty of Cody Welch fans in the chat, and I see that they all got their awesome merchandise courtesy of GeezerAuthentics.com, so that's what I like to hear. And hopefully that's going to be put to good use tonight, because here he comes off turn number 4. Cody Welch goes P5, lap 1. Where will he put it lap 2? Will hold down in 5th, but still top 5 performance, not bad at all. It's 8 playoff drivers following your current pole sitter, Sean Britt. So for, again, the playoff spoiler, we've talked about it, the best guy to not make the playoffs this year. I mean, Sean Britt putting at P1, a full 500s clear of Lacey, a full 10th clear of Nickerson. That's some serious pace there, Chris.
Yeah, you know, that's a really good lap. And one thing to, you know, kind of make note to the viewers at home is, you know, in NASCAR in real life, you can get into the wall here. Your lap time's still going to work. Here, if you happen to touch the wall, which does happen quite frequently, and you can still put down a good lap time, but the lap time's not going to count if you actually make contact with the wall. So, you know, that's what you're probably seeing here with some of these guys is they're putting down some flyers, but you're on that razor edge, and sometimes you just so slightly hit the wall. That lap is done. So, yeah, I mean, that's going to be the battle all night, right? We're going to have to keep an eye on these guys getting into the wall and seeing how much damage they occur. But yeah, that's a flyer lap from Sean Britt.
Well, more than just hitting the wall, we've had a big moment here. Dawson Guzik's reporting in the chat for us. Brett Guzik spinning on his qualifying lap in the warm-up, going to go P19. And Chris, I'm getting flashbacks because this happened last week. This was the problem for Brett Guzik, starting from the back, having to work his way through, worked all the way up to second, sits the best of any driver that's not officially locked in around 2 right now. But again, an issue here for Brett Guzik in qualifying. That's not what you expect to see out of, again, one of the most guys that for years we've known as one of the most consistent, and a guy that this year maybe that's been one of his struggles. And again, qualifying issues, but he overcame it last week. Do you see a good chance he can do it again this week?
Yeah, I think so. I think Brett's going to be really good here. I know that last week in his post-race interview from finishing second, he said that this isn't one of his favorites, but I think this is a track that suits him well with all of his knowledge. So I'm looking to see that car back up at the front as long as he can keep it clean.
Well, folks, it is time. We're going to talk more about the playoff situation. We'll go in more minute detail over the bracket here in just a moment. But first of all, it is time for your starting lineup, courtesy of Perfect Shine Auto Spa. Here we go. On the pole, he is your pole sitter tonight for, I believe, the second time this season. We talked to him just a moment ago, and he wasn't at the top of the leaderboard at the time, but he is in qualifying, so maybe the reverse jinx for once here on the Full Send Racing Network broadcast. That's certainly something different. But your pole sitter for Britt Racing, Mr. Sean Britt, number 98 car, running a 28.739 second lap. On his outside is Benjamin Lacey, driver of the number 7 for 785 Racing. Remember, missed last week's race, but will still be round 2 eligible provided he scores a win due to a provisional he earned last week. Ricky Hart Jr. rolls off in P3. Pretty quiet week last week for the GFR Racing driver, but hoping to beat his teammate on his outside to score some valuable points tonight, as of course Nick Nickerson, who rolls off P4, does not need a win. Is officially punched into the round of 2, provided he makes every race in the round. That being said, Eddie Hagge will score a top 5 performance here as well for Britt Racing. Really good job there for the 97 car. Of course, playoff contender, but second last in the playoff grid right now, just ahead of Benjamin Lacey. Cody Welch as well will start up down there in 6th. He was fastest in practice. We know there's real pace there, so I think really exciting drivers there on row number 3. Making his return to the series. He's missed here a little bit, and we'll go through driver by driver here at this point. But Brandon Jackson here on the inside of row number 4. Of course, Action Jackson, one of the longtime favorites, but not a full-time driver this season. Still real pace, though. I believe he's won at Darlington in the past or come very close in the Bandit Racing League, so watch out for him. You see there that orange banner up on top of the race car. We didn't clarify it last week, but up there above the driver's windshield is going to be the playoff banner, so keep an eye on track for those orange banners. Curtis Yancey has one, and that's why he is going to roll off as good as a position as 8th, and he starts right behind Christopher Hamilton, driver of the number 15 car for the GFR Racing team. He is also in a favorable playoff spot alongside his teammate, both currently above that green line for the cutoff. Then we got Mark Allen Bivens starting alongside Paul Wilson. He's got that awesome throwback number 76 scheme. Mark Martin and several other drivers running that U.S. Army livery. Paul Wilson, then Michael Ramos, another Army livery, a more current one, with Matt Crocker as well, running an awesome Route 66 throwback scheme in the number 10 car. Then it's Gibson in the Ryan Newman throwback alongside Nolan Gross on row number 8. We'll just jump down here a little ways just to make sure we catch all these names. Finally, Jackson Knock, final playoff driver here, starts alongside Hayden Paul. Then even further back, the driver who had the spin in qualifying, or is also, I should say, a playoff driver, starts 19th, and Brett Guzik. Then it's Lakey and Harkins rounding off your grid for tonight's race here at Darlington Raceway. It's Throwback Week. It's the second race of the playoffs. This is going to be a fun one, folks. Let's get into it. Britt's got control of the green flag. Lacey on his outside. And we are green here at Darlington Raceway. Good start for the whole field. Hart gets the better of Nickerson in row 2. And it looks like Haggy already on the attack, jumping to the inside of the 2 car.
Remember here early last year on lap 1, leaders had some trouble. Big wreck on the the front of the field, but looks like we get clean through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, it feels like just last week that that famous race with Christopher Hamilton going around there on lap number 1 in the very first turn after his pole. But looks like we're all clean here so far. Nobody really moving up or moving down too far. Nolan Gross is up 2 spots a little bit further back. He just made a move on Michael Ramos. Might try to make it 3 on Matt Crockett. Kevin Foster off the pace and clips somebody. One of your playoff drivers, the number 8 car, going backwards off the bat. What has happened to Kevin Foster, I should say? Brett Guzik getting the better of him. Started 10th, down in 18th. Some chaos. Oh, and somebody getting loose there on the inside. That's Matt Crockett. Non-playoff driver, but could be serious consequences if this is our first yellow of the day. Nothing so far. Solo wreck, and we keep it green here, Chris. Big call there. And now
Curtis Yancey goes around.
Yancey as well. Second week in a row. In the first couple laps, Yancey finds himself backwards. And will also stay green for that. Multiple single car wrecks. No yellows. And just like that, once again, Yancey finds himself behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, these cars are probably really on edge with these fresh tires here, and it's going to be tough. They got to kind of baby it here, let these tires come in. You'll get some decent grip after 3 or 4 laps. You'll start to be able to find your rhythm, but you just got to kind of endure this these fresh tires. It's going to be tough.
See on board just how close Sean Britt's getting to the wall here, already trying to make really good pace there, and Benjamin Lacey sitting right here in second again. Big race for him this week with playoffs in mind. He is going to want to go in the attack pretty early if he can possibly make this move without too much issue. And right now, really good pace from the 7 car, 98.7, and the 2 cars promoted himself to 3rd with his teammate Ricky Hart Jr. falling back to 4th.
Yeah, I think the name of the game here right now is, if it were me, I would just try to fall in, kind of follow behind the guy. I don't want to run side by side if I don't have to. If I have the run and I can actually make the pass, I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to sit here and fight with you for laps and laps and burn up my stuff. So right now, let's see where we're at, see how the tires come in, and see who's running what. As you can see, the 7th car is kind of searching around a little bit. I like that. Trying to get that clean air on the nose of that race car. But yeah, let's just settle in and see what we got.
Yeah, you can see just how close he is here into turn number 1. We'll look up the gearbox of Sean Britt's car, looking straight back at Benjamin Lacey, and you'll see her off the exit much lower. I think the better run here for Lacey as well. Could be a good opportunity. Nick Nickerson here sitting in the catbird seat. Again, already won here in this playoff round. Doesn't need this race, but he'd like to get another one back-to-back. Here he comes, 7 car. Up high, he's going to squeeze him, but keeps it clean, gives him room, and great racing there from Benjamin Lacey. We're side by side to the start-finish line. Here comes the 2 car. Looks like a good run off 4.
Yeah, that's some good momentum there, but this is exactly what I was talking about. You don't want to sit here and do this forever. You're going to burn up your stuff, and it's going to hurt you on the back end of this run. But 7 car got a little loose there. You can see he's falling back a little bit off the back bumper of the 98, and the 2 cars are right there behind him. So that's another thing. You don't want to sit here and fight with somebody, and then you're going to put yourself in a bad position where you're getting passed. And once you start getting passed, it's going to feel like a freight train.
Well, we got a big line of cars here going back to Mark Allen Bivens in the top 8. Then it's Brandon Jackson and Paul Wilson having a good little scrap here for 9th. And then it's a big gap back, 2 whole seconds back to Brett Guzik, who, again, is up 8 positions. Really good start for him, as we kind of expected with the pace we know that 04 car has. But behind the 8 ball to start, he's already having to work his way back and go in the offensive. But Paul Wilson is going to hold off Brandon Jackson for now. But just a whole gaggle of cars here, Chris. Everybody really in contention here off the bat. And I think, yeah, that's why this may be a conservation race, because as long as the guys in front of you are battling, it really compromises each other. And you can stay in that lead pack without burning up tires virtually at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just saw it. The 98 car just tagged the wall just a little bit. So you're going to see that all night. You're going to see these cars just, slightly hit the wall. They call it the Darlington stripe. You see these cars get roughed up on their right sides, but that's the challenge here tonight, is to not do that too much. You're going to end up hurting the car eventually, but you don't want to do it too early. And you can see that gap that the 98 had to the 7 is starting to dwindle away. So it also gets in your head, too. You start getting closer and closer to the wall. You start hitting it too much, and you're like, oh, man, is the car hurt, or am I just, the tires are junk? What's going on? And then you start overthinking things. So that's where you see these veteran drivers start to come to the front here, is when you start having those kind of thoughts. But yeah, that's going to be another challenge within itself. Not only you're racing your competitors, but you're racing the racetrack as well.
Yeah, they call it the track too tough to tame for a reason. It is one that has been notably difficult for drivers since the very beginning. This track, built in 1950, one of the staples of the NASCAR calendar, hosting the Southern 500 for a number of years. So an iconic venue here. Really good place for this battle to go down here. Lacey and Britt, two drivers that know how to run side by side. They did a few laps back. This time 98 in the wall. Much higher that time. Compromises his mid-corner. But his exit, not too bad. He might have a shot again here, Chris.
Yeah, it's really tough on the bottom unless the person on the top messes up, which you just saw. But it's really tough on the bottom, in my opinion, in 3 and 4. You see the 7 get real tight. He had to back out of the gas there. Almost got to the 98. But that is the challenge here tonight. You really have to set that guy up. And, kudos to the 98. Like I said, he got to the wall, but he's fought off 2 contests now from, a guy that needs a good playoff finish tonight. So he's holding his own, and he's doing very well, and that car looks really strong.
I'm really interested, too, by just how offensive and attacking Benjamin Lacey's being here early. Like, I think we could both agree here, Chris. This isn't the 7 car we're used to seeing. He's been a guy that I've done the closer for a couple of years now. He's the guy that really at the end lets it come alive, really saves his stuff early, and then attacks late. Right now, though, really trying to get it there up front. And I don't know if it's because he thinks there is that much of a pace disparity, or he really is just leaning into, being comfortable with conserving. But that just hasn't looked like how he's raced. And I'm interested because, yeah, I think you'd agree, Chris. Just not the guy I would have guessed that in this position would be so attack heavy. That's something I'd associate more with potentially one of the younger drivers, or like a guy like an Action Jackson or like a Curtis Yancey. But Benjamin Lacey, a veteran here this series, still really trying to get that 7 car to the point.
Yeah, I look at it like this. He missed last week. He knows that he's in a little bit of a hole, so he's going to be a little bit more offensive. But another thing that's going to keep him offensive is those drivers that are on his back bumper. You see the 2 just helping him down the backstretch there. That's only going to last so long. And I know they're official teammates, according to Nick's post-race win speech last week. But, I don't see that lasting very long. Eventually, the 2 car is going to get in front of him, and you don't want that. He already won, which, that's great for his standings, but Lacey needs that, and that's going to shuffle up our points big time. So as we get a caution.
There we go. First caution of the race, and it's Connor Gibson, the 31 car, looking backwards. Ran 4th of the playoff drivers last week with a top 5. Incredible job there last time. This time out, not quite so much luck early on. Connor Gibson, Nova Scotia native. One of the first incidents I can remember him having in a long time. Usually the guy we know for consistency. Let's see what's gone wrong here. Alongside Jackson Knock, we go to the Butt Kicker Racing replay. Just really, really high off of turn number 2. He slapped the outside wall pretty good. Good job there by Kevin Foster to take evasive action and hop out of the way there. But yeah, just a little bit too high on the wheel. Maybe felt pressured a little bit by Jackson Knock, but looked like Knock gave him a fair bit of track, so I wouldn't question that part too much. Just almost looked like he opened the wheel up a little bit. Didn't look like he ran particularly low down to the line. We're going to go on board one more time here. Cockpit view. Car just wouldn't turn. Simple as that. Yeah, just looked like he didn't have any real steering power there late off the corner. And again, we talked about just how quick tires are going to go away here, Chris. I mean, that was textbook what we just saw.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's hard to judge because I feel like sometimes Darlington kind of, when you're exiting the corner, feels like Bristol, because Bristol really just the wall pops out at you. And it feels like that here sometimes because you can't really judge where you're at as far as, corner exit speed and where the car is going to wash up to as it comes out to the wall. But yeah, it looks like the car just got real tight there. And yeah, unfortunately, his right side's met the wall.
Yeah, one of the top drivers here in the playoffs after last week, and already finding himself in an unfavorable spot this week. And that's really the storyline here, Chris. We'll go back here to show the bracket, just again to keep you guys in the loop for what we're looking at here after Roval last week into Darlington this week. And again, just to recap you the top 8 drivers after last week, we have Nickerson, who's punched into the round of 8 already. We have Brett Guzik, then Christopher Hamilton, Connor Gibson, who we just saw have that incident a moment ago. Ricky Hart Jr. there, 7 points above the cutoff. Bivens 6, Foster 5, Welch 4. So that 4-point gap sounds like more. It's certainly more than the gap between the other playoff contenders. But, I mean, 4 points here. That's 4 positions in this series here, Chris. And Welch to Yancey right now. I mean, obviously Yancey had his early wreck, is sitting in 15th. Welch is up in 5th. But Yancey's still on the lead lap now with this yellow flag, and anything can change in this series. So these gaps are going to be crucial. And if you're a guy like Lacey, who currently sits, he's 12 points behind Welch. He currently sits 4 spots in front of him. And ahead of Yancey, the next guy below the cutoff. He's a whole 13 positions ahead, I should say. So he's already passed him on the leaderboard. So it's a real duality, Chris. And do you think this is going to be a situation where in the playoffs we're surprised by just how quickly guys can make up those deficits, or just how quickly those deficits can form?
I think that it's kind of a little bit of both, really, and especially in a race like tonight, where, you know, Cody is just, he came in 4 points to the good. He can really build on that, and that could make his round right here tonight. He can jump himself way up, or if he gets the win, then he doesn't have to really worry about it. But like for instance, Lacey, he can run second all night, and he's going to knock someone else out, and it's or he can win, and someone else is bumped out. So then Cody's bumped out if he ends up, you know, that's still in that position. So I love that it's, you know, you kind of have to keep your eye on where your competitors are running. So it's not only, who's in first, where are my other playoff contenders, because that's who I'm racing. How many spots do I have to gain to maintain this gap to them? And I think that just makes it so exciting. But with this restart here, I think that this is a great opportunity for someone like Kevin Foster, who had trouble on, you know, lap 1, where he got a little loose there, or Curtis, who had that trouble, and even Brett, who, you know, he didn't qualify the greatest, but he drove up there. Curious to see how hard he pushed the car and where his tires kind of stand. We're gonna figure that out here after we drop the green flag. But this is a quick little reset. You know, we have, you know, roughly about, I think it was 15 green flag laps on the tires. So yeah, this is a quick little reset and see where everybody stands. And Seven's gonna get a fresh crack at the lead here going into turn 1.
Very quickly, we didn't get a chance to do it here in the pre-race, but we'll throw it to you, Chris. Race pick for tonight. Who are you thinking is looking favorable?
I'm going contrary to my my playoff, you know, extra pick there of saying he wouldn't win and win the championship, but I think Cody's going to get it done here tonight. And he has a super sharp looking race car to add to it.
And he's got the Jeff Gordon 24 DuPont throwback scheme. So, man after my own heart, I have a Jeff Gordon poster hanging up in my bedroom back in Kitchener, Ontario. So here we go. Big fan of the paint scheme as always, but let's see what he can do on the racetrack. It's Sean Britt once again taking us to green in it. And Ricky Hart Jr., what a start. The guy who was overshadowed by his teammate there in the first 15 laps, now all the way up to second, gets both his teammate and Lacey with a really, really great restart.
7 car could just not get going at all. Just absolutely smoking the tires down the front stretch. You can see him wiggling around everywhere, and that's got to be so frustrating for him. I don't know if they didn't practice, you know, their restarts there. To see the 04 car make a really aggressive move there to the inside of, I can't really tell right now because all the paint schemes are different. But yeah, the 04 car made a nice move there. But there's a big gap here. I kind of wonder what happened there on that restart that caused that big gap.
That looks like Mark Allen Bivens, the car you were talking about there, Chris, that Brett Guzik just got the jump on. But yeah, the 04 car really on the loud pedal here. The entirety of the start of the race here in the first 20 laps so far. He's up 12 positions after starting in 19th. And here he comes. You see him on the high side there. Really, really good runs off the corner. He might try again here, go on the attack on Cody Welch. Just everybody is looking too slow to keep up with the 04 car. It's incredible the gap he's already put on Bivens. So real speed here as we come to expect from Brett Guzik, obviously the number 2 driver in the playoffs right now for a reason. Ricky Hart Jr. further up this lead pack of 7 cars here, currently sitting in second. Good run so far here on the start of the stint, but has fallen back a little ways off the 98 car. It looks like Sean Britt sitting pretty comfy right now up there in first place, and if the 2 car can get past his teammate, he will become the new driver to go try to track down this non-playoff but still really, really quick driver. Yeah,
his cars look super strong all night, and you know, again, throwback weekend. Love that paint scheme, that Kevin Harvick paint scheme there. Looks so good there up front. So let's see if you can keep it up here. But let's keep in mind here as we're approaching lap 24 here. We had the yellow flag. A fuel run is around 38 laps, so we'll say with the yellow flag, it's probably going to be around lap 40. These guys are going to be pitting. This is a pretty difficult pit road to get on, just because of the way you have to enter it. There's the debanking of the corner there, so it just really upsets the car, especially when you're trying to really attack pit roads. So pay attention to that if we get a green flag pit stop here, for these guys to maybe kind of loop again into pit road, or maybe some pit road speeding penalties, which would be huge implications for the playoffs.
Yeah, and we know those little mistakes have been kind of the main issue for a number of drivers here lately this season. We know we've seen a couple pit road speeding penalties at crucial times. That's taken away race wins, and obviously tonight, yeah, definitely a race that, each race at this point in the season, Chris, gets more and more crucial. Those small mistakes more and more detrimental. Here we sit on board with Christopher Hamilton as he keeps peeking to the inside of Benjamin Lacey, who was surpassed again there on that restart by the 2-car of Nick Nickerson. So Hamilton really trying to find that opening, and if he does, it'll be Britt followed by 3 GFR racing cars. But here comes Brett Guzik, forces his way by as we sit on the hard cam here with Christopher Hamilton. Again, that 04 car just on the attack right now. He got Cody Welch before we could even catch it, and now he's got all the way around the 15 car, the 04 car. You got to think, Chris, I know the guys up front probably conserving a little bit, but man, you got to think he's looking like the most dominant race car, at least here early.
Yeah, absolutely. Drove from all the way to the back to the front, and that's just a veteran move there. He saw that Christopher Hamilton was going to try and make that move there on the 7-car Benjamin Lacey, and you could probably tell going into the corner that wasn't going to quite work, and he took the high side and used his momentum to get around him, and he's already put a little bit of a gap on him, and now he's working on the 7 here. But yeah, that's a veteran driver. That's a past champion, and he knows what it takes to get it done in the playoffs.
Just want to highlight here for a moment with a quick crank it up camera for our race leaders just how close this gap is here up front, and the gap back to the next car there, 4 seconds now from Cody Welch to Mark Allen Bibbins. There is a very clear tier here up at the top of the order as Mark Allen Bibbins and Paul Wilson go back and forth for possession of that next spot after the top 7. Here he comes on the outside, Mark Allen Bibbins, and that throwback Mark Martin scheme, really, really good pace, but might give up the spot on the inside, though no, he fights back again. Great run on the outside, 76 car. Big move on Paul Wilson, so the playoff drivers, now 7 of them back in the top 8, then a pretty good chunk of them from 10th down to 14th, with Connor Gibson, again, the earlier crash, putting him as the final playoff driver right now.
And this 04 car is absolutely going to work. He got by the 7 of Lacey. Now he's the inside of the 2 car. He is getting after it, and I don't know if he's a little upset with himself. As cars are stacking up, Cody got in the back of the 15. 15 may have gotten to the back of the 7. The 04 is trying to get around the 2. And meanwhile, all these guys are running away, the 98 and the 1. So, man, playoff racing. These guys know what it's all about, and it's time to go. 98 in the wall.
Cody Welch here now really off the groove here. He definitely got shuffled back by, again, you talked about the contact there with Christopher Hamilton a moment ago. Now he'll move backwards in the field, and yeah, Sean Britt there was losing momentum as well. If you say hit the wall, then I trust your judgment on that one, because yeah, it's getting close here for the top 2. But then there's that big gap back to Nickerson we just talked about. It's crazy the effect the draft is playing right now, and Brett Guzik going to take advantage of Nick's struggles and just fly right by him. This is fascinating race here, Chris. I know there was the stack up there, but I know we talked about momentum. This just seems like the momentum has dropped off a cliff for anybody here in the top 5 that isn't Britt or Hart.
His drive to the front has been absolutely incredible. He's making everybody look like they're standing still, and everybody, it seems to be at this point saying, I need to come down and get tires here because I'm struggling pretty bad. But the 04 car looks like he has brand new tires on this thing, the way that he has pace around this track.
Just unreal to see the amount of speed that car has. Now 1.4 seconds back of Ricky Hart Jr., so not a particularly favorable spot for Brett, but again, if anybody on track has the speed to go track him down, it is Brett, and he ran exactly equal to Sean Britt last time by 30.81 second lap for the 2 of them. So it's certainly not too rough of a time right now, clearly. He's at least going to be able to keep pace with your leader, but it's a question of, can Ricky Hart Jr. really get back up there for the battle for the lead and disrupt and potentially give the drivers behind a chance of making up some ground here. But Cody Welch was able to capitalize on Christopher Hamilton there with that chaos we saw a couple laps back. He'll move up to 6th and now go after an old rival, 2-car Nick Nickerson.
And last week we saw that Connor Gibson had his first top 5 of the season, and now he's sitting 1 lap down at 19th. And we talked about this last week at the Roval, where you get a little bit behind in the beginning of the race. You got to try and fight and just keep with it, because we saw Curtis Yancey able to claw himself back to a really solid finish there. So I'm looking for this 31 car to try to claw himself back. He is 1 lap down. All he needs is a caution to get the wave around, and hopefully no one is a lap down in front of him. But he can get this thing done. For those Connor Gibson fans, I've been kind of paying attention to him. He's running pretty solid right now. He just needs to keep this thing on the track, keep it straight, and hope for a caution to get his car fixed up and back on the lead lap.
Yeah, lucky dog and a quick fast repair, and he's right back in this thing, especially with the chaos we've seen at Darlington in the past. You never know when a big incident could come around, and that could put him right back in contention. Here in the meantime, we got Ricky Hart Jr. here on the Skype camera, and he's looking pretty determined, pretty that steely confidence we like to see from the driver of the 1 car. Of course, former champion, the longtime veteran of the Bandit Racing League, just put 2 tires here on the outside wall, but continues on with relatively good momentum. And the cars behind, though they were catching there for about 2 straight laps, they've now backed off, and both Britt and Hart running a full 10th faster than Brett Guzik that last time by. So this seems to be the divide here, and it looks like Britt and Hart versus the rest of the field. And I mean, I think both those drivers here, Chris, both names that, though they may only have 1 combined win here, I think in the past 2 seasons in the Bandit Racing League, that massively undersells just how much pace these 2 cars have, and especially in races where they can just get in a rhythm. Chaos doesn't really happen around them. They seem to thrive, and Ricky Hart Jr., that's how he got his win there earlier this season. And for Britt, I think this could be a case where just, he goes end to end and gets that first career win in pretty easy fashion, though. To be fair, that isn't usually the way the Bandit Racing League goes.
Yeah, no, unfortunately not. Especially this season, there's always been some drama at the end of the race. There's been a late race shakeup. I'd love to have the stats on the leader at the end of the race and whether or not he passed within the last couple laps for the win. So, he looks really strong tonight. The only other car that I see could possibly compete with him on fresh tires is that 04 car right now. While Ricky is giving him, some good solid pressure here, I'd like to see them all squared up on even tires and see what they all got for him. But the 98 car to this point has been the strongest.
Talking about this second pack here, made up of course, lots of playoff favorites and championship contenders. There's a kind of a disagreement in the chat right now as to who the better tire conservation driver is here in the Bandit Racing League, Brett Guzik or Cody Welch, the 85 car here now in the line. Really, again, all over the back of the number 2 car. But Brett Guzik here currently sitting in 3rd at the front of this line. Of course, he's had to make all these big passes on this stint. Then Cody Welch here at the back of the line, really not under that much pressure. He can kind of take whatever line he wants. But, I mean, for that perspective here, Chris, I'm trying to, really think of this season specifically in this race car with these packages. Who's been better at tire conservation? And I think this year, I think though most seasons I would go the way of Brett Guzik, I think Cody has shown a lot more pace at the end of stints than we're used to. So don't be surprised if that 85 car does come alive here in the last laps of this couple lap stint.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the race, I mean, we should have green flag pit stops any lap now. It's going to be tough to just kind of hang on to the car, and at this point, you're just trying to maintain, right? You're just trying to make sure that the thing's staying out of the wall, keeping the car on the track, facing the right direction, and you just make this green flag pit stop, and then you have to do the opposite. You got to make sure you're not sliding the car too much once you strap those tires on, as we're seeing the 1 car close in on the lead here. But these tires in these cars right now are probably just about the end of their life cycle here, and it's about time to slap some new ones on.
Oh, first major pit stop here. Nick Nickerson in the 2 car coming down pit road as we saw Paul Wilson holding off Curtis Yancey there a moment ago. Paul Wilson here, really, really good run so far for him, though he now pits as well. So 2 car, first one down pit road. Not what we would traditionally expect. Nick, not a guy that was making a ton of pass attempts there, wasn't particularly on the offensive, and is typically pretty good tire conservers. So to see him coming down pit road here first, really big surprise there, honestly, Chris. I'm shocked.
Yeah, that's not typically what we see out of him.
Ricky Hart to the pit barrels. Ricky Hart on the entry to pit road. I was keeping an eye on it. I watched him in the background. I was like, he's coming in hot. And he hits the pit barrels on pit entry. I saw him on Skype there in the background, not happy. Big frustration there out of him, but just slid right through, Chris. He came in too hot, tried to make up time there to Britt, who was much faster, ducking off from the racetrack onto pit road, and big mistake there. You can see the frustration on his face.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with this pit road entry. It's so unique because it's a really wide corner there where you have to you got to get all the way down on the banking, and it's just really hard to get the car woed up. And then once you finally get to the pit road entry, it gets super tight. So it's just one of those things where you got to be super precise, and you want to be aggressive, but you can't get that aggressive. So we're gonna see how these guys cycle out. I think the 2 car is gonna really benefit from this one here, as those guys stayed out on older tires. The 04 car jumped the 98, which would have been for the lead, but it looks like the 2 car here is going to go to the point.
Just very quickly going to go to the Butt Kicker Racing replay to watch this wreck, because there was really 2 phases to this. So first of all, coming off the banking, you see Ricky Hart Jr. peeks to the inside. Then Sean Britt comes down pit road. So Ricky says, okay, I'll go with you. Sean Britt going to take the pit entry. He goes really wide here. Here comes Ricky Hart. He's way too far to the inside, and just the angle. He can't cut down in time, especially on those old tires, and just slides right into the pit barrels. Like, crazy mistake. Just, I don't know, just looked like he wasn't expecting the corner to camber as much as it did there. And yeah, you talked about it there, Chris, a little ways up ahead. 2 car, then the 04 car, and then the 98 now going to be the leaders on this current strategy. Of course, you consider the guys just coming down pit road now, not currently race leader, but he'll come down pit road this time. Same with Foster. So Nickerson should cycle out to the lead, but he will be on 1 lap older tires than the rest of the field, and that could be pretty crucial.
Yeah, that does make a difference, you know, the undercut there, especially at a track like this where the fall off is so crazy. I mean, you can drop seconds and seconds off your lap, as you saw the 99 there almost get into the wall and have some trouble with what is that, the 97 of Eddie Haggy there. They're trying to fight to get back on the lead lap as the 99 staying out a little bit longer on this stint here, but yeah, it's one of those things, and that's what makes or breaks your playoffs. You know, it's things like this, the little tiny things. You know, the untangibles, as they say. You know, knowing when you got to pit, getting on and off pit road. It's all these little things that are going to make a difference in the playoffs.
Well, Brett Guzik just absolutely crushed those intangibles here a moment ago, sitting a whole 1.5 seconds up on Sean Britt, who was a few spots ahead of him on pit entry. Just unreal how fast he was on the exit. He fully, now by 1 second, and a race car between them, jumps Sean Britt, who now has to get by Nolan Gross, and just absolutely incredible. Britt just ran the fastest lap of the race here. You can tell he's going to push, but man, really impressive stuff there from Brett Guzik.
Yeah, no, that is, you know, impressive there, because he had a pretty decent lead coming into the playoffs. I mean, into the pit road entry there, but he really closed the gap. I don't know if you caught that on the replay there with Ricky's troubles, but he really closed the gap to the back bumper of the 98 coming into pit road. And then obviously he won the battle off pit road as well. So that, you know, that's what it takes. You know, you make a mistake in qualifying and you got to make up for it. And he's doing everything he can to do that. And you know, job well done so far.
Holy cow, did he ever! We just went to the Butt Kicker Racing replay to watch Brett Guzik there on pit entry. That was textbook. Super wide arc, the opposite of what Ricky Hart did. Really brought it around really nicely. I'm amazed to see a guy go that fast. I probably would have approached it very similar to how Sean Britt did, but Guzik thinking his way around the problem, using that wide high lane here, that really high banking on the outside here at Darlington to kind of caress him around, and that was beautiful stuff from Brett Guzik there. That's why he's obviously former champion, one of the best, and full second gap now for Sean Britt to overcome.
Yeah, and that's tough, right? You were defending for the lead for so many laps, and you're able to successfully defend off multiple different drivers. And you did it for the first, you know, green flag run of the race, and then you go on pit road and it's all gone. So it's just, you know, you got to overcome. And you know, unfortunately, he's probably a little frustrated, but it's not. He's shown the pace, so he can definitely get back up there and get it done. So you just got to settle in and just hit his marks. You know, don't do anything crazy. Just do what you were doing this entire time. Now you just have to get by 2 drivers.
Well, he's not a playoff driver, and he's not on the lead strategy here, but Brandon Jackson, really favorable spot right now. He's currently your race leader, pitted on an alternative strategy, will now come down pit road this time, but pitted on lap 16. He now enters here, should make it under the speeding limit, so here he comes. But yeah, he was leading the race there. Wanted to make sure we give a quick shout out to a guy who's returned the last couple races, which has been awesome to see. Always good to see the old favorites coming back and running some laps, and really great stuff there from Brandon. And I do just want to point out here, because we just hyped up Brett Guzik's pit entry, and of course for good reason, but Nick Nickerson on only 1 lap fresher tires, which of course is a decent detriment. And, you know, of course, he is going to lose a little bit of pace over the course of the run as a result. But a full second ahead and has been weaving through race course really well right now, becomes your race leader, is on effectively the same strategy, just 1 lap less fresh tires. I mean, Brett's starting to catch him this lap, but it's been a pretty fair run here. I don't think necessarily is Brett going to be in a massively advantageous position, of course, though. 1 lap, if that continues and Nick continues to burn tires at a slightly faster rate, is going to be a major disadvantage the rest of the race.
Yeah, I know. Nick, like I've said, has pretty much been the master of pit road here in the Bandit Racing League, and he showed that there. And he was the first car to come down and get the tires on, and he's one of the fastest guys on pit road getting on and off. And he struggled there getting around the 76 of Mark Allen Bivens, which was fighting to stay on the lead lap there, which is, you got to do what you got to do to stay on the lead lap, especially at a track like this. So he lost some time there. You know, Brett chopped off about half a second of time to him. So that's not, you know, what you want to see, but Nick is the leader right now. So that is obviously the most ideal position on track, and he's just got to navigate this lap traffic.
Looking elsewhere here, trying to find good battles for position, especially important ones between fellow playoff drivers. Eddie Hagge, who again, really good qualifying spot, started top 5. He is now behind the 3rd place starter of Ricky Hart Jr., who, remember, had his issue there coming down pit road, had that pit barrel incident. Not a ton of damage to the front left quarter panel, but notice, has not fixed it. Didn't take a quick repair there on that stop, which is interesting. Suggests to me a guy that I think is banking on another caution, which I don't think terrible strategy. I think especially the way this race has gone so far, 70 more laps, we're getting towards halfway. Definitely the potential for another moment, but I mean, not terrible spot. You know, currently sitting 7th to 6th out of the playoff contenders. He's already above the cutoff line prior to this race. I think that's a really good season overall managing decision there from Ricky Hart Jr. I don't mind it whatsoever that he's decided to stay out here with a little bit of damage and maybe sacrifice maybe a spot or 2 over this run in favor of the potential that later he gets in that really big wreck and just needs to stay in the race.
Yeah, I'd like that. I think that's a veteran move. You know, if you know you can handle the race car and you can make it by for right now, you know, repair the couple seconds of damage while you can and save the big repairs for the fast repair and just hang on. And I think that's a veteran move, especially in the playoffs from one of our past champions here. As you see, the 04 car has now caught the back of bumper of the 2 car. So it looks like the 04 car might make quick work of this battle for the lead here. He's going to go to the inside of the 2, come to the front stretch.
Bit of a wiggle, though, off the exit. Nick is just going to be within reach. The 04 car going to get to the quarter panel. I think we'll make the pass happen here. As Lacey further back here just got Sean Britt. So as the 04 car gets in front of him, we'll try to set sail. Well, Lacey just jumped over the number 98 of Britt in the 85 car now. His teammate going to be the next one to try to go with him. Further back, Hayden Paul getting really loose there off of turn number 2, but manages to save it. Good piece of driving there from him. But we're going to watch the Butt Kicker Racing replay here of this pass by Benjamin Lacey on Sean Britt. Just right to the inside. Britt catches the outside wall just a little bit. He comes off of turn number 4, and just like that, the 7 car getting ahead. And I'm honestly kind of surprised the 85 car couldn't go with him. Looked like he was going to have a much better run off the corner, but Britt was able to keep his foot in it and hold on to 4th for the time being.
Yeah, that was that could have went very badly, but you know, obviously it didn't. So that's the best case scenario, and that's, you know, that's a part of being running up front. You know, you get so frustrated because you finally are up front, you're running, you're contending, and you know, stupid mistake on pit road, whatever the case may be, you get shuffled out of the position, and then you start, you know, racing more than what you need to. Just, you got to settle in, and that's something that I learned being here, talking to guys like Nick Nicholson, Cody Welch, and Brett. You know, just sometimes you just kind of got to take what you get, and just make it through the run, and just reset, and you just find your pace again. And, you know, that I think that comes with time, and you know, Sean is still relatively one of the younger drivers in the series, so I think that he next year I think is going to be a big problem to deal with. He was almost a big problem to deal with here in these playoffs, because I mean, with his podium finish last week and him contending for the win this week, you know, that he could have made some noise. So it's unfortunate to not see him in the playoffs this season, but I think he's definitely going to be there next season, and he will be a force to be reckoned with the seasons to come.
Big move here. There it is. 85 car going to go to the inside. Cody Welch picking up the spot on the number 98 car. And here comes Brandon Jackson, currently a lap down, but alternative strategy here. So if potentially it's able to work out here and we Everybody's about 15 laps short here at the end. Brandon Jackson could save a pit stop and potentially be in contention for a good spot here. But right now, the important thing is Cody Welch is finally by, can try to go make up the 1 second gap to his teammate. And Sean Britt, I think just the pace here on this stint, for whatever reason, dropped off a little bit from the previous, but still really, really good run here. He's in a favorable spot. And now Christopher Hamilton, GFR teammate of Hart and Nickerson, also in the top 10. We'll try to get by these two gentlemen.
Another driver to highlight here, he's made up some good ground, is Jackson Knock. You know, he didn't have the most favorable qualifying position, didn't finish, you know, probably the most ideal position last week. He's sitting in 12th. He's the last car on the lead lap, but he's made up some good ground after starting 17th, and that's what you like to see, you know, out of a younger driver that's in the playoffs. Just, you know, get this experience, get up there and contend, and while he's not in the top 10 at this moment, he's knocking on the door of you know, closing in on Kevin Foster here for 11th, and that may be the difference here at the end of the race. So it's good to see a younger driver like that still staying in the fight here.
I got to know, Chris, was the knock on the door pun intentional, or was that a happenstance thing?
No, that just was pretty organic there. But thank you for noticing it.
I like that. It may not have been a race sponsor transition from earlier this season, but it was pretty smooth. Yeah, you know, I wish there was a better transition to the Darlington Throwback thing tonight, but that was pretty slick. We got to get you to do the sponsor reads here in the future.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that maybe by the end of the season. But one thing that is super smooth right now is this 04 car, Brett Guzik. He has set sail since passing the 2 car of Nick Nickerson for the lead, and I'm really interested to see how big of a lead he can actually get. And I think that just shows you how much he is managing his tire over the run. I know we still have a bit ways to go here on the run, so I'm wondering if the 2 car is conserving a little bit, or the 04 car just has something figured out that others don't. But right now, he certainly has that thing hooked up as he just gained another 10th of the 2 car.
We talk about the smooth drive here from Brett Guzik. Undoubtedly smooth as the cotton on the T-shirts we sell at geezerauthentics.com. We're going to quickly plug the website because I couldn't think of anything to plug here. Very quickly, BanditRacingLeague.com. Of course, your place for all things Bandit Racing League content and information, news, and links. Here, of course, the link to geezerauthentics.com, where now, as of a few weeks back, you can pick up the new Cody Welch merchandise, in addition to a variety of other drivers. But I know many Cody Welch fans in the chat tonight wearing their Cody Welch merch in support. So just wanted to, again, remind you guys, of course, BanditRacingLeague.com and all the great services there. Check out our points, check out previous season information, get a direct link to everything we support sponsor-wise. And as we see Christopher Hamilton here, going to try to make the move on Sean Britt, will bring this to an end. But yes, geezerauthentics.com. Don't forget, all proceeds go back into the series through the driver points fund. So any of your proceeds here in our very low-cost items here to support the series, get merch like a hat, pants, a shirt, a water bottle, a wall hanging, anything of that nature, as Hamilton does get the move done on Britt for 5th, does go back into the league and supports the very drivers that you buy merch for. So in that sense, kind of like the real-life situation for NASCAR drivers, of course, we don't have the same individual deal worked out, with rights and responsibilities wise, because Nick Nickerson would probably bargain too much for it, because when you win 30 to 40% of the races in a series, you'd probably charge quite a bit for your merch. That being said, that's geezerauthentics.com and, in turn, the BanditRacingLeague.com website. And we, of course, thank you to all of those here at the Bandit Racing League that help put those services on. We thank those of you for supporting it, because it supports the series and, in turn, our broadcast. And, of course, all you Cody Welch fans getting your new merchandise. That is pretty slick to see.
Marshall, it's throwback night, right? So I got to ask you, out of all the throwback schemes that we have here tonight, I know we have several of them in the field, which one is your favorite?
That's a really great question. And I just need 2 seconds, because I have a helpful image. I have a visual aid to provide us to enhance my answer. So in the meantime, I'm actually going to throw it back to you, Chris, and then I will answer here momentarily once I can provide a visual. So I'm curious for you. What are you thinking?
I don't know. It's tough for me. I'm a big Jeff Gordon fan growing up, Jeff Gordon fan. So Cody's scheme looks really slick tonight, but I'm gonna give props to our league owner. I love the paint scheme on Bill's car tonight. It looks real slick, and I'm really liking that one. But also the actual throwback to Brett Guzik's actual paint scheme from his early racing days is pretty sweet ride too.
Well, you beat me to it, because that's what I was just about to reference here. Yeah, I think as far as throwbacks, I always love in NASCAR when it's guys that have a personal connection to whatever they're repping in for throwback night. And yeah, for Brett Guzik, of course, tonight's currently race leader. But yeah, representing a car from his childhood, a really, really cool additional touch here for that scheme. We'll show the real life car here on stream right now. But yeah, I think just really, really cool that childhood car you see there, Brett in the photo here. But to exactly copy and base it on his car that he runs now. Of course, he used to run the 104 back in the day. Of course, runs the 04 car now, but. Really, really cool touch there. I love seeing guys throw back to something more authentic. So I think for my money, the winner for especially going custom, going back to an old favorite, that's got to be Brett Guzik for me. But Benjamin Lacey here going to try to make the move on the 2 car and flies by him comfortably in that Filming the Wild number 7 car. Really like that font. Actually hope we can get a custom number file of that font in future to show weekly on the broadcast. But yeah, the 2004 National Half Midget Champion is Brett Guzik. Thank you to Dawson Guzik for providing the info there. And yeah, that'll be my pick for the week, but another really cool scheme for Lacey. Just went up to second, and Welch, his teammate, gets up to third. Nick Nickerson coming down pit road. That is why. And again,
we get a yellow before Nick gets on pit road.
Oh, we
That's
do.
Huge.
And he enters pit road. Is that going to be a closed pit lane penalty? Back of the line for Nick. I mean, should be able to take service, but that could be crucial timing for the 2 car.
That is absolutely huge. We're going to have to see how that one works out. I'm sure I'm going to be hearing that all over race control here in a second, but that is some very poor timing on the behalf of the 2 car. I don't know if he made the commitment line yet or not, but it certainly looked like on my end he didn't.
Okay, so who are we thinking here as far as is going to benefit from this? So the drivers that'll stay on the lead lap, everybody from Jackson forward, because Brandon Jackson on fresh tires was able to jump. Brett Guzik jumps in outside of the pit entry cone, but I think should still be legal. I don't think, unlike the road course side of things, I think would be legal here at the ovals. So Brett Guzik going to be the first driver here down pit road, and it looks like everybody at the front of the field is going to pit now because they were a lap or 2 away when Nick happened to come down pit road there himself. And by the looks of it, no obvious moment here on track that led to our caution. I see Curtis Yancey had a bit of a moment. We'll go back here to, here it is, Butt Kicker Racing replay. Never mind. Curtis Yancey, second major wreck of the race. Let's go back here just a little ways and see what happened to him, but we'll keep an eye here on the race off pit road. Just gets wicked loose there mid-corner here off of turn number 4 and gets wide and slams into the wall. Here, though, is the race off pit road. Sean Britt, Benjamin Lacey, Nick Nickerson, and Brett Guzik, your contenders. Here he comes. Lacey going to get Guzik. Is he going to get him? Yes, he does. 7 car, just barely pipping the 04 on pit road there. It looked like he learned from that previous pit stop where he lost a whole bunch of time. This time he says, no, I figured out my mistake, and I'm going to improve upon it. And that's what we like to see here in the Bandit Racing League. So the race off pit road for the drivers on the primary strategy here, that being drivers that pitted just a moment ago for a full pit stop. Knock and Jackson both stayed out. It's going to be Lacey, then Guzik, Welch, and Christopher Hamilton here is going to jump ahead of Sean Britt, who actually, no, I believe he was already ahead of. And now Knock and Jackson are going to come down this time as further back Foster and Yancey now leaving pit road here. So there we go. Lacey fixed his mistake. He capitalized there. And yeah, new race leader here. And back to the point, a place that surprisingly for as fast as he's been tonight, hey, he has not been a race leader yet. So Benjamin Lacey, really, really clutch performance. And especially, again, we've talked about plenty, but a race that he really needs to be fast tonight.
And hold on 1 second, because as we talked about, not only does the 2 car have a black flag, but the 04 car has a black flag.
I pointed it out. I was like, he was really wide of the pit entry cone. I was kind of surprised, but there we go. Another crucial mistake for a top driver tonight. While he was so fast on that first pit entry, the second one does not go to plan again. Well, I'm actually going to throw back to the pit entry there because I was really interested by it. We're going to go on board to the live perspective. Watch as he cuts down. You see, actually, that this camera may be a little bit too tight to catch it, so we'll go back a little bit. But just for context, this orange pit entry cone you'll see here is it goes really wide here for some reason. This orange pit entry cone, you're going to see Brett's coming up towards it, probably this camera. You see it, it's small, and I want to find a better one that shows the perspective. But basically the story being, yeah, you got to be to the left side within the boundary of the lines on that pit entry cone. So watch here, closer camera angle. Brett up on the high side, ducks down that orange cone, center of your screen. You got to be to the left of that. You got to commit to the pit entry prior to that spot. It's a safety thing in real life to avoid drivers doing exactly what happened to Ricky Hart Jr. earlier and slamming into the pit entry wall. And he was to the wrong side of it there. So it's quite simply just a small mistake with big consequences there. He'll go down to 10th. Nickerson will go down to 11th. But more importantly here, Chris, to the back of the field. They'll be on the lead lap. They'll be in the top 10. They won't be at the back of the order, but they will be at the back of the racing line here. This will put the 785 teammates on the front row, Lacey and Welch. Then Britt and Hamilton going to get promoted to 3rd and 4th, with Haggy moving up to 5th. And another really good performance here from the 97 car. But crucial mistake. And again, we'll have to see here, Chris, if all that good pace and just incredible ability Guzik's had here tonight to move from the back will work again with only 50 laps this time.
Yeah, that is certainly a tough one for both of those drivers. You know, they tried to debate their black flags, and to no avail for them. But as we grab the green flag here one more time tonight, the 7 car is going to take the lead with the 85 to his inside, with the 04 and the 2 all the way at the back in the field.
785 teammates, let's get it at the front row. The fans of the team got to get excited here, but Sean Britt is going to be the capitalizing driver here on the restart. He is going to get a really good jump, and he'll jump right over Cody Welch back to the front. Your front 2 from earlier in the race get a flip, and now it's the 7 leading the 98 car. Top 2 with 50 laps to go here at Darlington. Again, second race of the Bandit Racing League Season 11 playoffs.
One thing I do want to know, as I do have the driver chat turned on so I can kind of hear what they're talking about. The 04 debating his black flag there. He eventually obviously subsided and went to the back of the field. He said, all right, I'm just going to go and pass you all again. So I love the confidence out of that 04 car. Let's just hope he can make it through here clean. I love when Brett has a lot of confidence, because he does pull off some impressive moves. And he's had to do it once today. Let's see if he can do it again. But yeah, really great start of the 98 car.
Yeah, Guzik's fast, and he knows it. And if he can start driving like it, that's going to be scary for the guys up here ahead of him. Brandon Jackson here back on the regular strategy. Really interesting to see. 1 lap pressure tires than anybody. And now he's going on the attack on Hamilton here. A playoff driver versus a part-timer. 99 car really low to the bottom. Going to push the 15 car up a little bit, but just came in way too shallow. Hamilton gets the better run, and we'll jump ahead. But Cody Welch here, fastest lap of the race last time by, 28.94 second lap. Now to the inside of Sean Britt. Here comes the fan favorite.
How tight does he race him off the corner? He gets a little loose there, doesn't quite make it work, but that 85 car does seem like he has it figured out here in the later stages of the race. Meanwhile, the 7 cars are saying, you guys can keep racing, boys. I'm out of here.
Yeah, trying to say sayonara here right now. Here he comes off of turn number 2. Again, a really good run. The 98 car once again wicked loose, but he's making good time. I don't think he'll be particularly worried. I think if you just got to settle it down if you're Sean Britt. And remember, this is going to be a longer run. We're going to go here until, you got to think 10 to 15 laps to go in the race for that final pit stop. You want to try to make it as long as you can in that final stint. If you have to take a 1 second longer pit stop or something like that, due to having to take an extra set of tires, that is just going to be absolutely killer. So try to save everything you got here, I think, at this point. If you're Britt and Welch, just keep up with Lacey as much as you can. And I think if you're Welch, try to get past the 98 car as fast as possible. So again, 99 car going to peek to the inside of the 15 as the hard-charging Brett Guzik waits it behind.
Yeah, the 98 car right now, I think he has a little bit of a statement to make. I know he wants to get that lead back. I know he's upset about not making the playoffs, and he's here to take no prisoners in this playoffs here for the. Even though he's not racing for it, he's racing for these wins and to put his name out there. As you see him get a little loose there off the corner, but man, I'm really impressed with him. I know he had trouble, on that last stint there. Maybe buzzed the tires too much, got to warm out a little bit, but he's battled back here and he's sitting in a good spot. Let's see if he can make it count.
All defensive drive here right now, though. I mean, the 85 car just all over the back of him. 5/10 of a second, I should say now. Now 6/10 separating Britt from Lacey, so not a massive gap, but yeah, really got to get that power down once again, because we've seen here, Chris, once the gaps start to open up a little bit and you have no draft benefit towards the guy in front of you, guy in the lead just takes off. And I don't know entirely what that's down to, because there shouldn't be a dirty air problem. Guys should be able to keep pretty good pace even without somebody in front of them, but tonight just hasn't proved to be the case.
Yeah, and we were seeing that there with Brett. He almost opened up a 4-second lead prior to that caution, and obviously the pit road penalty there didn't help. But yeah, we were seeing him really make a gap there, and 2 cars that were really strong towards the end of that run. As the 85 just got in the back of the 98, they get a little upset here, but the 85 still to the inside of the 98, going through 3 and 4. Some tight racing here late in the stages of this race.
Keeps it to the inside, really hard on the attack. The 85 car says, I am done waiting. I'm going to go get my teammate here. And there we go, gets the move done. So You talk about it there, a little bit aggressive, the bump. Was it like a proper trying to shove him out of the way in the corner, or just a happenstance contact midway through?
Yeah, I think that's just Darlington for you. You know, eventually you're going to get aggravated with sitting behind somebody for so long, and it's time to go. And looks like the 98 car is not going to benefit from that. Hopefully he can rebound and get that thing gathered back up. But the 85 car now, his sights are set strictly forward, and he's going to try and catch his teammate here.
That gap, though, for the lead up to 1.7 seconds. That battle took everything out of Cody Welch, and finally gets by. You got to think burn the tires up a little bit more. And now poor Sean Britt here back to 6th with the aftermath of that move there. The other guys just trained by him. Ricky Hart Jr., Eddie Hagee, and Paul Wilson going to get promoted up to the top 5. So Brandon Jackson here and also going to get him. The 99 car back in contention here. And there we go. The 04 car and the 2 car getting by Foster and Hamilton. They've both been unleashed. And Brett Guzik, I mean, he is going to be an absolute animal here. There goes the pass in the 98 car, and 99 of Brandon Jackson. You better watch the heck out, because Brett Guzik is flying right now with Nick Nickerson falling behind closely in tow.
And another guy that you were highlighting earlier in the race, and I want to give him his props, because like I said, he didn't have the best race last week. It's the 97 car of Eddie Hagee sitting in 4th position right now. Started 5th, and you know, he dropped back a little bit earlier in the race, and he's sitting here in the top 5, and this is what he needs. You know, he's the 3rd car outside of the playoff cutoff there, and he needs a solid race, and we saw him do it to get in here. He was contending for the win, and he's right back up here again. So let's see if he can put that car to good use tonight. He definitely has a good car, and he has something figured out. It's the 7 car. Had a little bit of trouble there getting around a lap car. Went really, really low. That was a big crazy, almost a big trouble for him. I want to see what this does to his lead, but yeah, I mean, I guess you never know.
Yeah, that gap dropped in by a full 8/10 there that lap. Cody Welch, you saw, had to duck around it too, and the 1 car almost capitalized. Looked like Connor Gibson, who was off the pace, and he'll pit once again. The night just goes from bad to worse here for the driver of the number 31 car, a guy that has had so much to prove here. Or is that he's wanted to prove, maybe he hasn't needed to, but with a 12th seed based on the way we do our seeding based on top 5s, and I know he wasn't happy about that. He didn't appreciate, you know, being thought of as that much of an underdog, but I do give him credit for it, because for a guy who's been as quick as he is to still have something to prove to the rest of the series, I think the playoffs here, getting it to even just a round of 8, a great way to do that. And unfortunately here tonight, not going to be the follow-up to last week's great performance, top 5 that he wanted, but still should be at a pretty decent spot here as Christopher Hamilton, another guy that's going to get past Sean Britt. Just unfortunately the momentum going backwards here for the 98 car after that battle with the 85, and got to think he's not going to be entirely impressed with Welch, but you never know. Again, as we talked about, don't think it was particularly Welch trying to get in the back of a guy and move him, just happenstance contact with a move that, you know, they'd run side by side comfortably for a couple laps there. It certainly wasn't Welch's first decision.
So, Marshall, I'm kind of curious to hear your perspective on this, because I know what I want to see, but I'm curious to know what you want to see and what the fans at home want to see. Are you looking for another caution before this race ends, or you want this to go green at the end?
It's tough, because the fans want to see Cody Welch win. And if we're really honest, the majority of the fan base, I think at this point, I know there's a whole bunch of fan bases, a whole bunch of different drivers that have a ton of support, but I think just the way the storyline's gone, this whole last 2.5 years of the Mandalay Racing League, guys want to see Cody win. And I actually think the 85 car has a better chance if the race stays green. I think just trust Lacey to make mistakes here with lap traffic, and then just try to make up the gap in on pit road. I think is your best shot. If you want the race to be interesting, yeah, I think the fans absolutely want a caution, and I think it would bring Guzik and Nickerson back into play in a way that I almost think we get a caution with 15 laps to go, and that 04 car is still sitting in 5th with Nickerson behind him. One of those guys is my pick to win. I think they're just that fast right now, and that's not to take away from Lacey. It's just this thing with the Bandit Racing League on big restarts with a lot of guys packed together. Those race cars always seem to be quick. They always seem to find pace, and towards the back, that being cars that are again, they have the momentum, they're working forward even if they're not at the front of the field. So I think it would absolutely make it more interesting, but I think if you're a Cody Welch fan, it's almost not what you want to see. But everybody's different. Maybe you disagree, and maybe they can get bunched up back to the front row. More ideal, although we've seen it a couple times, that second place on the restart, not a good place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think fans probably want to see a caution as well, but for me personally, I want to see this thing go green at the end. Darlington is known for kind of being an endurance race almost as we exit Le Mans, and we can talk about Garage 56 in no time. But I thought that was a beautiful display from America there in France. But nonetheless, Yeah, I want to see this thing go green to the end. This race is kind of like a race of attrition. Who can hang on to their car? This is a tough racetrack, and your car's hitting the wall. You got to take care of your tires, and I want to see who's got what it takes to get and do this thing from start to finish. And I think this last green flag stint will be, just the way to cap this race off. I know we've had some exciting finishes in the past, but I think even with a green flag run, you can see a guy like Brett drive from that penalty back up to the front here for a beautiful finish. And another thing that's been pretty beautiful here is the camera angles that we have from Track Cams and Gourmets. I don't know if you guys have seen this at home and appreciating it like I am. As you see that 51 wrecking in front of the leader here. Does he collect anybody? He doesn't. That would have been crazy. That would have been wild.
That would have been a wild
Lacey
finish
is
here.
definitely sweating in his seat right now because I'm stressed out about that.
Yeah, Curtis Yancey up at the wall. We go to the butt kicker racing replay here again off turn 4. That's Yancey's third wreck in turn 4 this race. Not at all what you'd expect of one of the best in the Bandit Racing League, the 51 car. Just tonight not been the night for him. Damage to that car, of course, wouldn't help, but now going to let the cars in the middle of the pack go by and put him yet another lap down. It hasn't been his night, but it would have been absolutely massive there had Lacey been collected in that. We had seen a yellow, and I think just his where he is on the track and just how much trouble he's having with that damaged race car keeping it on the track, I think that could absolutely be the source of that potential caution you were talking about here. As Eddie Hagee gets relegated to 5th with Brett Guzik again, continuing to hard charge up there in 4th.
04 car up to P4 on the racetrack, and if you're the 7 car, you want this race to end as fast as possible and hope that 04 car does not get any closer, because yes, definitely have something figured out here tonight. I just find it so funny that last week he said he doesn't like this track too much, and it's one of the tracks that he struggles at. As we
Yellow
get a
flag, there it is. Curtis Yancey, the 51 car, finally gives out, and he catches both Gibson and Lakey. Nowhere for those cars to go off the exit of the corner. The 84 car, we caught it live there, just slamming the 51 car off the exit. First of all, really nice paint scheme. We want to shout that out. I love that 84 scheme today. I hope it stays full time. I hope that's not just a throwback, because that is a beautiful number scheme. But we're going back to the butt kicker racing replay. There is your yellow flag, folks. Get pumped, because we're going to be going back to green with about 20 laps to go. And everybody's back in play here. The 51 car just couldn't hang on to it somehow. It was middle of the corner again. I know he's got that damage, and it looked like the car just didn't agree with him. He tried to get it a little bit harder left because he got to think it was understeering, and then the back end just didn't agree. It gave out, and suddenly he finds himself looking backwards. So here we go, Chris. This is the biggest moment of the race. In my opinion, this is where it all changes here. Lacey, Welch, Hart, Guzik, Nickerson, Hagee, the order down pit road. Who's good on pit road? Who gets into their box wrong? Who takes 2 tires? Who takes 4? It's all to play for here. Anybody? You think aggressive strategy call? You think somebody goes big here?
I mean, if someone took 2 tires, I love the call. I love taking the chance and saying, hey, the heck with it. I got to give myself an opportunity here. But I'd be really surprised if someone doesn't slap 4 tires on their car on this pit stop. But this is the money stop here. This is where it's all going to count. Presumably, this is everybody's last set of tires, and this is going to make or break your race. I didn't hear anybody have any black flags on this one here, but it looks like there's going to be some guys
who do take 2 tires. 2 tires for Foster. Who's up next? Lacey, then Hart. Welch, did he get him in time? Welch does get Hart. So it's Welch, Ricky Hart Jr., Brett Guzik. The order stays the same through most of the lead pack. But there you go, folks. Kevin Foster going to be promoted to the race lead here. A guy that is above the bubble as of last week, but could really use a good finish. You got to think he's going to be happy to try something different here. Going to take the lead of the race, of course. The tire's going to be compromised, but I mean, this is huge, and I think the biggest thing for this is if you're a Cody Welch fan again, he's not on the second spot this time. He's not going to be stuck in that outside line. He's going to be behind, I would assume, your race leader, Kevin Foster, and I think that's going to be more beneficial for him because he can benefit from the good jump the leader's going to get. The guy in second's had trouble. Lacey's good on restarts, but I think if you're an 85 fan, you are happy that the 8 car just took a chance there, and you have full 4 tires. You're going to be on good pace. I know we've seen this scenario 1,000 times that Welch looks like he's in a good spot, but there you go.
Well, that's my race pick for the night. So I do hope that the 85 car can make something of this, but I'm a little worrisome of the left side tires on that 8 car. I don't know when the last time he pitted was, but that could make for a really tough restart and him getting up to speed. And that could really hinder the 85. But we're gonna have to see. I think this is it. Everybody's gonna be real aggressive. I know one driver that's gonna be aggressive is that 04 car. He wants to get back up to the front as he was making such a big lead there prior to that caution, which he ultimately ended up getting a penalty on. He's gonna be real aggressive. The one car is back up front after that accident there, trying to get on pit road, hitting the cones.
Oh, here he comes.
Road.
No, Foster going to back out.
I wonder if he just took it to lead the lap there. A little strategy for the playoff point and get some extra points in this race. So that certainly changes everything.
Yeah, we just brought up the graphic there. It was a 26 lap old set of right side tires. I don't think there was any chance he was making it to the end in anything lower than 10th place, because that's just no pace.
Yeah, that would have been rough. He would have probably been the last car in the lead lap, and he's been running solid all night. He's been right in the top 10, so there's no reason he can't do that here on fresh tires, on equal tires to everybody else. So I think that is more of the smarter play here, but we're gonna have a good old teammate standoff here with the 85 and the 7 once again. The 85 on the bottom, the 7 on the top. This is gonna be tricky here, because you're trying to go get everything you can, and there's big implications here on both ends. One guy's out of the playoffs, one guy's on the bubble, one guy really wants to win. I mean, they both really want to win, but that 85 car probably wants to win a little bit more than the 7 car. Man, this is going to get dicey here. I'm assuming we're probably going to have another caution here. I'm not. I hope that's a commentator jinx in the opposite direction, but we're going to have to see.
We will see. There you go. I was talking about how advantageous that inside, or the line behind the leader is. 85 car won't get it. That'll go the way of the 04 car this time by here. 23 to go, folks. The 785 Racing teammates back on the front row. Guzik, Hart, Haggy, the end of the top 5. Nickerson, Wilson, Jackson waiting in the top 8. Here we go. Another not a great restart for the 85 car on the inside the line. 04 car. Big push from Haggy. He's going to get the jump and back into a spot to compete. Brett Guzik, the main beneficiary of that restart. I'm telling you, that second place spot is a curse tonight on restarts.
And the 7 car is probably not wanting to see a mirror of that 04 car, as he is on it tonight, and he has shown that he can come through whatever kind of position you want to put him in. He gets a little loose off of 3 and 4 there. He's going to fall back to the clutch of the 85. The 85 car, if he's going to do something, he's got to do it now. He's got to make it quick as we're closing in the end of this race. And that's a little bit of a teammate work there. The 97 teammates with the 04 car gave him a really good push, and it actually worked out for the both of them. The 97's up to P4 on the racetrack. And one car that I don't see up here is the 2 of Nick Nickerson.
Yeah,
I'm missing something here.
Yeah, he got passed by a couple of guys I saw in the telemetry. Had a bit of a moment there with another driver. Got swept back a little bit. Of course, doesn't need this race for points. But here he comes. Welch to the inside. Puts the pressure on. Moves the 04 car up wide, but they both make the corner. Pass doesn't get made, but the 85 car, I was about to say, I think he's really going to push here. I think Haggy might even get to capitalize if we see a mistake here. But I think the 85 car is going to be on the attack like mad, because if he can get ahead of the 04 car, not only can he get a chance to go track down the lead, as he does have a little bit of a front right damage here, but also it opens up the door for his teammate Benjamin Lacey to just break away. And knowing how much he needs it, of course, Cody Welch and Benjamin Lacey have been good team guys in the past. That is massively beneficial, even if Cody doesn't win the race. And fastest lap of the race there, 1 lap ago, Benjamin Lacey is absolutely flying out front, ran the quickest lap there.
Yeah, it's time to go. You don't need to save tires now. You just got to push all you can. And I love this. 785 BC Sim Sport, 785 and BC Sim Sport. It's a battle of these two teams here up front. They've broken away from the rest of the top 5, and they're going to settle this thing right here and right now. And I love the aggression out of the 85 car. That's what you have to do, not only for yourself, but for your teammate here who's battling to get back into the playoff bubble. But that's what you have to do here in the late stages of the race. Is you got to push, and you get an opportunity, you got to take it. So. I'm loving the way this is shaking up now.
2 car back in the attack. Just got Wilson, just got Jackson back into 6th. 2 passes in 1 corner. And his teammate Hamilton in that orange livery for a change here in the 15 car is going with him. And Jackson Hawk, you talked about him here earlier. Chris is having a really good race. Now finds himself in 9th, sitting 7th out of the playoff contenders. This is the start of race, the kind of race he needed to start his charge back into playoff contention here.
Keep hearing guys saying there's a wreck, and I'm kind of hoping there's not, because I want to see these 2 guys settle at 7 car. he's had the pace the second half of the race here. He's one of the guys that's better on tire conservation. 04 car has shown that as much pace as anybody else tonight, as he's driven through the field twice. And these two guys behind him are both hungry for wins. The 85 obviously super hungry for a win, and the 97 is hungry for his first career win. And I'm sure he'd love to be on the podium here again tonight, as he was coming into the playoffs. But I couldn't have put 4 drivers in the front of this field that could have made a more exciting finish.
Here we go, folks. I want to hear it. Race predictions, race pick. Final couple laps here. You got, what at this point, 16 laps to go. Who are we thinking? Who are we thinking is taking home that win? And at this point, with Nick sitting in 6th, that looks favorable. We are punching another driver here into the round of 8. Just depends on which one we're going to get. Sean Britt there in 5th, still in contention to come home with the top 5 tonight. Wouldn't be bad after some of the struggles he's dealt with, but you got to think the playoff guys want it just that little bit more as well. And further back, it looks like Yancey and Gibson going to be the 2 guys tonight, going to lose out the majority of the points here and are going to drop back even further for Yancey. Gibson might drop below the cutoff line as well. So big night here. Ricky Hart Jr. as well has fallen back due to a variety of issues. He's now back in 11th. Probably not going to be below the cutoff line, but going to be close to it. Just big results here for guys that could really use some points. And one car going to try to get back in the top 10 here, going to go in the attack against the 76. Again, that Mark Martin throwback scheme. We'll see if it helps Bivens here.
And one thing I've just kind of keeping my eye on here is the gap to the 7 and the 04 has kind of been maintaining, but turns 1 and 2 is essentially 2 separate corners here. I know that that's kind of how they break it down on every track, but they really are kind of 2 separate corners. You almost open the wheel up a little bit in the middle of 1 and 2, just slightly. You kind of then you have to apex again there at the exit of 2, but the 04 car looks so good in the middle there of 1 and 2, and the 7 car just looks really good on the exit of 2. As you see the 7 car pull a little bit more of a gap. But another battle that I'm really liking to see here is the 97 has been hounding this 85 car right now, and he's applying the pressure. And sometimes, especially at a track like this, is all you need to do is ride behind somebody, and these high pressure, intense situations where you're contending for possibly a win. It's just kind of sit behind someone and just run them as hard as you can. And especially at a track like this, you're going to force them into a mistake eventually. They're going to be pushing because they're playing defense, and sometimes playing defense is a lot harder than it looks. So you're trying to mirror drive, you're trying to make sure you're putting your car where theirs is and taking away their air, but sometimes you can just force a guy into a mistake by checking the mirror maybe one too many times. And I can't see how one of these guys doesn't make a mistake here later in the race.
Looking here at the Skype cam for Eddie Hagge, unfortunately, it's a vertical cam. There's something kind of peeking ahead in the top of the screen, but you can see the lower half of Eddie Hagge's face here on Skype, and looks pretty dedicated. The calm hands, though, doesn't look too worried. And this is the definition of a playoff performance. If Eddie Hagge can bring home a podium here in a race that is crucial in his season with where he was after Roval, this could put him right back in contention and a good performance at Chicagoland, and who knows what'll happen at Dega. I mean, the 97 car, I don't even know if I'd consider him a dark horse, but could absolutely be a guy who makes it into the round of 8 here. If he can keep up performances like this, and if he can get Welch as well, it just adds to that resume, knowing how respected of a driver Welch is in the series.
Yeah, no, and this is exactly what he needs. I think this is a huge boost of confidence to him. I know he said he wanted to talk to us here again on the podium following Auto Club, and I think that he is getting closer and closer to that win every single week. And like I've said it throughout the season, luck hasn't always been on his side throughout the season, but he's certainly starting to put it together here. I know the Roval probably wasn't his most favorite track, but he's certainly getting it done here tonight, and I'm really hoping he can kind of bring this thing all together.
10 laps to go. Now 9 laps to go here at Darlington for Throwback Night, presented by Cody Welch. And the 85 car going to do whatever he can to hang on to a podium here at his sponsored race to put him in an even more favorable spot for next week. And right now, Christopher Hamilton, he's in this kind of annoying position, I got to think here, Chris, where he's right behind two drivers here. Potentially could get the pass here. He's almost thinking about it on the 99 car, but neither of them are playoff drivers. See, these are just cars sitting between him and his playoff contending drivers ahead, where he's currently the 6th place playoff driver, but he's going to get 2 less points than the 5th car, and then up the field. Like, it makes a huge difference just being behind race cars, a part-time driver, and probably the best non-playoff driver in the series this season. This is crucial. He needs to get by these guys, and these are positions he does not want to afford to miss out on. But here we go. 8 laps to go, coming to 7 laps to go. 04 car has caught the 7. We have 2 tenths separating them. I'm going to throw it back here to one of the most iconic finishes in history, probably the best of all time, if you ask me. Kurt Busch, Ricky Craven, 2002. Could this be something to that liking? Final lap, bouncing off the wall, guys just sending it, because I think that's the point we've hit in this race where these two are going to do whatever they need to do to get this win.
Yeah, I think so, and I think the 04 car has something figured out here on this the higher line in 3 and 4. He really has it hooked up there on the top, and he has so much momentum on the straightaway. And in the middle of the corner here, he is a lot faster than the 7 car, Benjamin Lacey. He looks like he's struggling in the middle. He washes up real bad. I don't know if he's driving it a little bit deeper, but I don't know. This is shaking up to be another dramatic finish here at the Bandit Racing League, and I'm loving to see this right here. This is so exciting, man. I'm on the edge of my seat right now watching this. The 7 car has to find a way to defend this 04 car from the higher side here. Look how much momentum he's getting right here.
I said tonight when I logged on the server, boy, those cars are going to be hard to tell apart, those two maroon entries, and who would have thought they'd be the two guys battling for the lead here tonight and battling for the race win. But here we go, 5 laps to go. Cappered seat driver as well. If something goes wrong here, Cody could capitalize, finally get that luck to switch around, but if his teammate can hold off the 04 car, he will massively turn around his prospects this season. From a guy who came out of the first race with the least points of anybody, could punch his ticket automatically to the round of 8. What a story that would be. But here comes Guzik, the 04 car. He's in a great spot. These points would almost guarantee him a spot in the round of 8. But you know he wants that win. You know he wants that comfort and that peace of mind. So this is going to be it to the finish. And lap traffic here, Chris. This will be crucial.
This is definitely gonna come into play. Do these guys just lay over? They do. But here comes the 04 car. He's gonna go down. 7 car is gonna block him all the way down the backstretch.
Tries it again. Yeah, the 7 car putting up a brick wall here on the straightaway. Here he comes, the 04 car, just gonna slide it in. Does he give him room on the exit? He does, just barely. The 7 car gonna get the better run off the corner. Does he clear him back here? Does he get the quarter panel in? Does Brett Guzik? He's trying. He's gonna get close. Here he comes, slides it in. Brett Guzik sends her and gets it done. What a maneuver. How did he make the corner? Brett Guzik, 3 laps to go. The race leader takes over here at Darlington, and the pace that car has, I think he's setting sail.
From the back to the front twice. He said he was going to do it, and he did it. Meanwhile, this is all going on. Here comes the 85 and the 97 closing in on this battle once again. But, man, what a performance out of this 04 car. He said he was going to do it. He called his shot, and he sure did do it. He was just so much better in the middle there. I knew that once he got to the center of the corner, he was just going to be able to drive right around him. He's just found something in the middle. I don't know if he's just saved tire a little bit better than the 7 car, but what an absolute battle between these two guys who last season battled for a championship, and this season it looks like they're shaping up to do it again.
Here we go. Final lap here, folks. Apex Sim Racing white flag here at Darlington. Does the 7 car have anything left in the tank to go chase down Brett Guzik? Or will the 04 car punch his ticket to the round of 8 after a great race at the Roval? He came to the back in qualifying at the Roval. He did it tonight in the first couple laps after qualifying 19th. Then he did it again in lap 76. And in only 50 laps, he goes all the way from 11th to the lead, through the field, gets one of the best passes we've ever seen for a win done, and off of turn number 4, welcome to the round of 8. Brett Guzik in the 04 car takes it home and wins it at Darlington on Throwback Night. Running the scheme he ran as a kid, the 104 car is back in victory lane this time. This time it's the 04 car. And Lacey and Welch, the 785 teammates, join him on the podium as Haggy just misses out on the final lap.
Wow, I'm fired up after that finish. That is that was amazing. Amazing drive by that 04 car. I'm on the edge of my seat. That was incredible. That's like Michael Jordan in Game 7 type stuff there. I don't know. That was incredible to see that drive out of him tonight. And man, another great finish at the Bandit Racing League. I mean, it's like we're scripting these things. I promise we're not. But every single week, I feel like we have some kind of crazy finish for the win. And what a drive by him. What a pass. And well-deserved win by that 04 car, who needed a win and needed a good performance. So, man, what a great performance out of him tonight.
Man, if we were scripting this series like wrestling, Cody would have quit a long time ago. His booking's been brutal the last 2.5 years. But no, certainly not scripted here in the Bandit Racing League, and that is why it is so exciting for Chris and I when we get awesome finishes like this one. Brett Guzik, race winner Let's bring him right in the broadcast booth. He looks ready. He looks chill and ready to go. He's setting up a Skype cam here, so we'll wait just a moment here for him. But what a run. I love watching good finishes like that. And, of course, again, Brett, you talk about guys that probably didn't even need the win here for their playoff hopes, but, I mean, it's one that, again, I love seeing the top guys get these good performances, because to have that preparation and that preparedness to know you're going to be a playoff contender here in the next round in advance gives you time to practice. And for one of the elite drivers like Brett Guzik, I think that practice is essential. So here we go. Let's go back here to Brett Guzik's perspective here. He is tonight's race winner at Darlington. Let's get him in the broadcast booth. Mr. Brett Guzik and his marshal up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I've got you.
Brett Guzik, congratulations, my man. Winner at Darlington in the round of 8. You were already in a good spot, but the win is exactly what you need to get some peace of mind these last few weeks. And let's first talk about that pass at the end, because boy, howdy, you were flying there in the last stint. We said if he gets up there and he gets close, he might get that move done almost automatically. Didn't look automatic. Looked like you were waiting a little bit, and once you pounced, you made one of the best passes we've ever seen. You sent it up the inside, and you got the car to stick. Were you saving the tires, and was that kind of the Hail Mary?
I was just trying to do as best I could and keep the tires on it, and I knew the only chance that I had was, coming to like 5 laps to go. That was the only time I was ever gonna reel Benjamin in. Looked like his car was getting a little tight in the 1 and a little tight in the center of 3 and 4, so I just tried to do my best and, sit behind him a little bit, coming to the few laps that I started battling with him, and just tried to set him up and get a run. I knew a few different lines that I could, maneuver to try and, work a run coming out of 3 and 4. And I knew if I could get through 1 and 2, right behind him, I could at least maybe set him up for 3 and 4. And that's what kind of happened. We had just enough laps there at the end. And I think, realistically, Ben ran a perfect last stint. He didn't really put a wheel wrong at all. His car just migrated tight. It just started understeering quite a bit, and I had been trying to keep track of my front tires a little bit when I was kind of riding behind him a little bit. Wasn't necessarily riding. I was, 99%, 100%, pretty close, but I was just doing everything I could to, keep the forward drive in the car so that I could pull something off.
Well, it was a hard fought battle there all race. One of those races where, because of how tough this one looked for every driver out there, the guy that wins it, I think it means a little bit extra. And tonight was brutal for some guys. I mean, Curtis was having trouble there off of 4. Guys were getting in the wall pretty much the entirety of the race. I mean, is there truth to the fact Darlington, one of the toughest racetracks on the calendar, and just winning at such a tough track mean a little bit extra for you?
Yeah, it seems like every time we come here, it's always always difficult for people, and not to mention this is probably the hardest car to drive at this track, as far as setup wise and configuration wise. There's just no downforce, there's no real mechanical grip either, so you just kind of have to navigate your way around this track, just race the racetrack. Don't necessarily worry about other people, just worry about your tires, worry about not slapping the wall. It took me 124 laps to slap the wall, I think. So we got to the end, pretty much unscathed. We almost threw it away there on the pit stop. I guess we didn't realize that there was a box there for a commitment cone, and jumped over the line and put ourselves in the back again. But we did start in the back there, so I was pretty confident that if I could just manipulate my way through the field and just work the tire, just race the racetrack, just run a pace that I knew could get to the front, then we could get there. It's just, whether or not circumstances prevented me or not. So, this track really is a burden on a lot of people, but a lot of these tracks that really, are, taking a toll on people, those are the tracks that I do the best at. So.
Well, this was certainly one for the ages here, and we'll wrap it up here in just a moment. I mean, obviously, going to be a playoff driver. We know we'll talk to you plenty. I don't even think this will be the last time we likely hear from you in this round alone, given a couple tracks coming up here. But I gotta ask here about the tribute scheme tonight for Throwback Night. Obviously, the paint scheme, one that throws back your childhood. We showed the initial photo from when you were a kid here on the broadcast, but just that '04 scheme. Talk a little bit about what the inspiration was, and again, what does it mean to put that car back in victory lane tonight?
Yeah, realistically, I kind of dug around for any like old pictures that exist digitally that I could somehow recreate some of the cars that I drove and some of the schemes that I drove when I was a kid. That car in particular, I ended up winning one of the quarter midget national championships and in the one of the divisions, and so it's probably my most proud moment, I would say, as far as my childhood and growing up in racing. So that's kind of why we ended up running that scheme tonight.
Well, it's really, really cool. I love the personal touch. It's why I graded it as my favorite throwback of the night. I love that personal experience aspect to it. So really cool to see you put it in victory lane here, Brett. Biggest win of the season for you. Incredible finish. And now it's up to you. I know there's plenty of supporters here tonight in the chat. The Brett Guzik fans were out in full support. So anything you want to say, any sponsors you want to mention, now is your time.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody who puts this on. I'm not sure exactly who sponsored the race. It might have been Cody Welch
Cody
tonight.
tonight,
Yeah, I like to thank him for helping out with the series. I'd like to thank you, Marshall, Chris. Usually in the booth for creating a good product for our YouTube site, and just like to thank Bill and Nicole for adminning this league and keeping us going in the right direction, and also I thank all of the partners along with like Perfect Shine Auto Spa and everybody really keeps this running, and I'd like to thank all the people that said I messed up there, coming to the pit stop and doubted what I was doing, and so thank them as well.
I'm glad to hear that their doubt fuels you. It builds your hatred and it allows you to capitalize and prove them wrong. That was epic. It was a great story, great run from you there, Brett. And no matter what you went through tonight, you always overcame. You rolled with the punches, and that's why you're in the round of 8, my friend. Good luck the rest of the way, and we will talk to you and we'll do our typical perspective on you in a few weeks' time. You get an extra little video package about yourself thanks to tonight's race.
Yep. Thanks, Marshall. Keep it fun tonight.
Thank you. Awesome. Brett Guzik here. Congratulations. Race winner here at Darlington. And he will pick up one of many wins in history in the Bandit Racing League. Actually, I want to go through one of these days, maybe next week, and just get a full list, compile exactly how many wins each of these drivers has in Bandit Racing League history, because it's got to be interesting to know here over the years. I mean, Nick obviously been around a long time, obviously Brett, but I'm curious overall what the record is for Bandit Racing League wins. Maybe I'll have a little graphic about it next week. That'll be my homework for next week going forward. Now we go to your second place finisher, though, running a similar colored livery here. And second place finisher at Darlington will now sit just below the cutoff. And this is a big one for him to get back in contention. So we'll bring it here to Benjamin Lacey, your second interview here of the night. Benjamin Lacey, it's Marshall and Chris up in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
I got you guys. What's going on, my man?
Oh, Benjamin, it was heartbreakingly close to the win that you needed after that last week, the missed race there at the Roval. But what a performance! You come up so close, and it almost looked like there was nothing that car was going to do. Brett was incredibly fast there at the end, and what was it taking there to hold him off? You get so close, and in the end, what made the difference for you?
Oh, he just did, I think, a better job of saving the tires there at the end. I don't really know much more I could have done to really hold him off. I feel like we raced each other pretty hard. We raced each other pretty clean. We didn't really make any contact like that. So respect to him for racing that way. And yeah, I'm really not too disappointed finishing second, because after missing last week, this was a big night. I had to come out and do well here. If I didn't, then I'd kind of be out of luck, So I'll take second place and get the points that come with it.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we talked there briefly about last week and missing the race at the Roval, putting you prior to tonight 12 points behind the cutoff. This performance, by my math, will put you exactly one behind. You sit as the 9 seed behind Eddie Haggy, who's 1 point ahead of you. You're tied with Connor Gibson for ninth there. So big night tonight, getting you back in the order of things, getting back in the swing. But was that going through your head at all tonight? Were you racing with any more of a win or go big or go home mentality, trying to get that win, or are these points something you're content with, just getting back in contention, even if you're still below the cutoff?
I mean, obviously, every race you do, you go for the win. So I mean, that's my ultimate goal every time I come out is try to go out and pretty much make it not a contest for anyone else. But it's tough to do because everyone's so good. But in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, points and things like that. And even tonight, I was thinking, if Brett is looking pretty aggressive, like he's going to do a bump and run, I was just going to kind of move over and let him go and take second place points. Because it'd be better to do that than finish down in dead last area. So it's going to be in the back of the mind running through the rest of the playoffs is pointage and where you can end up and playing safe with the situation sometimes.
And I'm looking forward to the rest of the round now. So again, as I just mentioned, you're now sitting 1 point back of the cutoff. There's a lot of guys in contention for 5th to 7th we're seeing here. We'll show the graphic here on the broadcast in just a moment. But 2 tracks to go in this round. You got Chicagoland next week, and the week after that, obviously the wild card of Talladega. 2 tracks you're favorable for? 2 tracks that you think that 7 car will thrive, or are those ones that maybe you haven't had circled on the calendar for a while?
Talladega is going to be anybody's game. I mean, that's how that one works. I mean, it's just going to be who can avoid the wreck at the end and come across the line where you do. I think Chicagoland is going to be kind of a 1.5 mile replica of that. Just how that track is raced in the past. It's been very draft heavy. So we'll see how that rolls out and around. Hopefully, if we get some green flag stops in there, maybe we can get the field spread out and can kind of work the craft around and see what goes. But hopefully you can just get a top 5 out there next week and top 5 again at Dega. And I think if we can do that, put us in good spot to go move forward.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate it as always talking to you here, Benjamin, and just again, incredible drive. You come up heartbreakingly short, but as far as a performance that you need to get back in contention here, don't think you could have run much better. And obviously, you and your teammate Cody Welch, both 785 racing cars, making it on the podium. So it has to be a pretty good night, pretty favorable for yourself. But you know the deal. You're always up here in the broadcast booth, if not every week, then every other, pretty frequently. So you know what to do here. If you got any friends or family you want to shout out, anybody watching or any sponsors, now is your time to do so and mention those.
Yeah, Film in the Wild, youtube.com/Film in the Wild. I think some of you have maybe gone and check them out, so I appreciate that. It means a lot to us. We got you guys here in the booth, Chris, Marshall, Full Send Racing Network. Appreciate what you guys do. It's such a good broadcast. I've had people from other leagues just they come and tune and watch the broadcast, and they just think that you guys are night and day above everyone else. So you guys do a great job, so I appreciate that. Bill and all the admins. What they do, and then of course our sponsors. We got Perfect Shine Auto Spa, Apex, Moza, Butt Kicker. I think we have Sim Racer Hub, and I might be forgetting a few here and there. But yeah, just appreciate what they do and being on board with us. So thanks, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Benjamin. Always a pleasure to talk to you. And yeah, again, what you needed tonight. Glad to see you bounce back from Roval, and hopefully you're with us and keep racking up these good performances the rest of the round, and that charge for the first career title will continue.
Thanks.
There we are. Benjamin Lacey will cap off the interview with your second place finisher tonight. Again, incredible performance. Really, really happy with how he was able to bounce back tonight, and I think he's going to be pretty happy with that as well. And finally, we're going to go to your third place interview, I should say. Currently now sitting 4th in the playoffs, and we'll have this graphic ready by the end of the interview. We're actually going to give Cody Welch and his interview over to Chris Ferreira. So Chris, we'll pop him in the chat here, and here we are. Cody Welch joined. Chris Ferreira going to talk to our third place finisher tonight.
Cody, it's Chris up here in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, gotcha.
Hey, man, I just want to say, first of all, love the paint scheme. Big Jeff Gordon fan myself. I don't know if you're a Jeff Gordon fan, but love the paint scheme tonight. That car was looking pretty fast, but what was the factor tonight that could have just kept you from that win? You finished on the podium, good points finish for you following that running out of fuel there at the end of the race last week. But yeah, just kind of walk us through what was the differentiating factor there towards the end of the race.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I I just want to say all the drivers did a great job. Darlington is a super tough track to race clean, and we went green most of the way. So great job, drivers. But yeah, the right before the last caution, I got in the back of Britt and messed up my bumper, had a little bit of damage, and kind of ruined my chances for the win. So I was just kind of riding there at the end, knew I was going to get past with the guys that didn't have any damage, and my tires were fading. So I was just kind of riding, and you know, I'm just happy to be up in, you know, third place in the playoffs. So that's kind of what I'm, you know, shooting for, at least in these early races in the playoffs. So yeah, I'm couldn't be happier with it.
Well, you certainly had a really great performance here tonight, and it's really paid off in the points here. You know, you were on the bubble coming into the race. You're actually sitting fourth in points here after the race. Well, I'm sure you'll have a chance to look at the points following the interview, but going through the rest of the round here, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you watched last week's broadcast, but you're actually my pick to win the championship, and I'm hoping I'm not jinxing you, but you're my pick to win the championship simply because you've been so consistent. And I know the wins haven't been there, but what's it going to take for you to get those wins? I actually kind of called my shot and said, you might do what Ryan Newman didn't do back in, I believe, in 2016, is win the championship without a win. But I obviously want to see you get to victory lane. Where on the schedule do you have circled for the rest of the season, and how are you going to get to victory lane the rest of the season?
Well, playoff time, I'm putting in more hours practicing and you know, working on strategy and stuff. So it keep me up front. So I got Michigan circled for sure. That's one of my favorite tracks. I think Richmond too we're going to. Yeah. So those two tracks are circled for me. But I don't know, man. I'm there every week. I don't know. I guess it's just, it comes down to luck, kind of, for me, when, you know, when I'm going for race wins and trying to stay out of trouble and not make any mistakes, I guess, is the biggest thing. So it's kind of what's keep me, you know, in second place and not winning races. But, you know, all I can do is just keep trying. So that's what I'm going to do.
Well, hey, you got to just keep doing what you're doing, because you've talked to us a bunch this season, and I hope we can continue to talk to you for the rest of the season. So keep doing what you're doing. Obviously, I want you to pull this thing off. All the fans at home that tune in to watch you here each and every week want to see you pull it off. But now it's your time. You know the deal up here in the booth. You're on the podium. You know, it's your time to thank the friends and family at home, and whoever else you got to thank at home.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to everyone who tunes in, watches us every Wednesday. All my fans, everybody who bought the Cody Welch merch, much appreciated. Everybody in Bandit League and up in the broadcast booth, you guys do a great job. Appreciate it. I love this every Wednesday. I look forward to it every week. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you, Cody, and go get him next week.
All right. Thanks, man.
Beautiful. Always a well-spoken guy is Mr. Cody Welch, tonight's third place finisher, now seated fourth in the playoffs. So here we go, Chris. We were hyping it up. We got the playoff bracket updated here after tonight's race at Darlington. So let's talk about it. New 1 seed going into the round of 8. Remember, for that bracket challenge here, folks, last night would have been the last night to enter. So thank you to all those who participated. We will keep those in mind every week, and of course, we'll crown our champion here of the Bandit Racing League Bracket Challenge by the end of the year. But new 1 seed, as he currently sits overall highest in the playoff points, and now ties Nick at 1 win apiece. Brett Guzik there punched his ticket tonight, of course, so he'll be the 1 seed. Nick Nickerson relegated to the 2 seed, but it still, of course, punched his ticket into the round of 8 automatically. So 10 guys left fight for those spots. Christopher Hamilton now moves into the most prime spot of any of the non-punched in drivers now, with Cody Welch right behind, 10 points above the cutoff for Welch, 11 for Hamilton. Ricky Hart Jr., we have a jump down then, 7 points clear of the cutoff line, with Mark Allen Bivens there 4 ahead. Kevin Foster now only 2 points ahead of the cutoff line, and Eddie Haggy goes from second last to just above that 9th position cutoff. He now sits 1 point ahead of both Benjamin Lacey and Connor Gibson, who become the drivers below that line. Jackson Knock here 4 points back in the 0-0 tonight. Wasn't the night he was looking for, was below the cutoff before the night, below it after tonight, but still not a huge not a huge gap to make up. Of course, 2 more races, you never know what can happen. They said obviously Chicagoland track that the draft is going to be key. There's a lot that can happen there, and then of course Talladega, who the heck knows. So Knock there -4, Yancey -7, and that will be our field heading into the round of 8. So, Chris, when you hear that list, you think of that. Where are you interested? What do you think the storylines might potentially be heading into the rest of the year?
Well, I mean, first of all, really great job by Benjamin Lacey. He had to do what he had to do tonight, and he certainly did it. I mean, came in here, he contended for the win, ultimately came home in second, but he got a great points finish, and he put himself right back up in there, in contention for the transfer spot into the next round. So I think that's huge, at least for tonight. But going into the next round, I mean, two powerhouse drivers have already secured wins, and I mean, was it to be expected? I don't know. They're tied for 4 wins on the season, both past champions. One of them is a double champion, and these guys have been going back and forth for the past 4 seasons now. So that's to be expected. But I mean, if I'm one of the other playoff drivers, I do not want these guys heating up, and that's exactly what's happening right now. We talked about it prior to the playoffs starting, was that, Brett Guzik needed a little bit of momentum, and he was lacking that, and he was lacking consistency, and I think that tonight he absolutely stomped the competition out. And I mean, short of that yellow and that penalty, we were looking at like a Kyle Larson at North Wilkesboro type thing, where it's going to be a good old butt whooping. He was absolutely giving it to him tonight, and going into next week is another track where he's won at in the past and in dominating fashion as well. So that's a little scary if I'm some of these competitors, but you're looking at guys that have just been super consistent, right? So Christopher Hamilton, he's been super consistent all season long. Cody Welch is right there with him with the consistency. But another guy that was super consistent during the regular season was Curtis Yancey, and I'm not sure where the disconnect is. Maybe it's a bad set of tracks, or maybe it's just bad luck. But these past 2 races, he's struggled, and I think that's huge. This is a guy that was up in the top 5 in points all season long, and we turned the page to the playoffs, and it's just not quite clicking for him. So I'm hoping he can get a turnaround. He still has a shot to make it in, but he has some work to do, and he certainly is capable of doing it. We've seen it all season long. So I think that is my biggest takeaway heading into round 3 of playoff round 1.
I like the way you put that there, but yes, I think gonna be huge to watch. And I think the other one too is Lacey and Gibson, 1 point down on the cutoff. 4 drivers within 3 points of each other. I think it is going to be so much fun to watch those 4 guys duking it out. Bivens isn't too far ahead of the cutoff either. As we go to the playoff schedule here, I think the storyline is just going to be Talladega. I think next week at Chicagoland, I think we'll set the table. I think that's going to be a fun race to watch. Always unpredictable. A lot of guys, not a huge fan of Chicagoland, I know for a fact. So it's going to be one guys just kind of have to deal with, but it should make for a really entertaining, competitive race. And then Talladega, where have you put yourself? What position are you in? Is it win and you're in? Is it must win? Or is it just get good points and try to keep it safe going into the round of the round of 8 cutoff? I can't wait. Those are going to be 2 races that you won't want to miss, of course, next 2 weeks. And then we are into the playoffs in the 2 weeks after. So I can't wait, folks. I hope you guys are equally as excited as I am. And there you go, the rest of your schedule going forward the rest of the year. With that, we are going to go to our series partners here, folks. We'll wrap it up here as we first of all thank iRacing, the sim that puts this all on here each and every week here in the Bandit Racing League. Apex Sim Racing, your place for premier sim racing accessories, wheels, button boxes, pedals, a variety of products. Go check it out at apexsimracing.com. Use our link in the description down below. Perfect Shine Auto Spa, of course, we thank as one of our title partners on behalf of GFR Racing and Kevin Foster. Then Track Camps for Gourmets. We plugged them tonight for the awesome cameras they were providing here. They really added new level to any series, whether it be broadcast or just watching at home or from a driver's perspective, watching the races back. We're so happy to be partnering with them, and they're linked to all their products in the description below. Just remember to get their permission for use on broadcast like we are doing. EvanWallMedia.com, your place for our official graphics package, the guy who puts it all together, and of course former broadcaster of the series, but also makes really cool documentary projects on his own. I don't think one's been released in the last few weeks, but there's plenty of amazing content up there, and he's always posting more cool stuff. So go support him, go check him out. EvanWallMedia.com is the place to go. Butt Kicker, the logo is kind of hard to see with that one angle we just had, but Butt Kicker, your place for really, really awesome sim enhancing products that can really add a new level to your setup here at home. Base shakers that create that that feedback, that physical vibration like a real race car, really adds a new level to your at-home sim, go to buttkicker.com and check out our link below there as well. Finally, Moza Racing, your final sponsor on behalf of sim racing type accessories, some of the best wheels and other products in the business. Moza Racing, another great alternative. So go check out Apex Sim Racing, go check out Moza Racing. New F1 just came out. Obviously, iRacing's out. You want to get into a sim or into the Bandit Racing League itself, those are great places to start looking for your products. Finally, GeezerAuthentics.com, your place for all things Bandit Racing League merchandise. Remember, all proceeds, whether it be for individual driver merch, general Bandit Racing League merch, hats, shirts, t-shirts, pants, who knows, anything you are looking for, I'm sure we have on the GeezerAuthentics.com website, and all proceeds go back to the Driver Points Fund, which rewards the drivers at the end of the season for their awesome performances. And finally, SimRacerHub.com, your place for all things Bandit Racing League points. Get the link to our live point standings right after the race, courtesy of BanditRacingLeague.com, to check out the live standings. Finally, Chris, I'll give it to you. We're going to head off the air here in a moment, but tonight's Throwback Night, we want to thank, of course, Cody Welch for sponsoring tonight's race at Darlington, coming home with his top 3 performance. And final thoughts heading into Chicagoland? You got anything left for us, Chris?
Man, I'm just coming down from that because that was such an exciting finish, and I think that's my favorite one of the season so far, I gotta say. But yeah, no, what a great race, and I knew coming into this one this was going to be a good one, and I love the way that ended. I mean, either way, it was a really good story, whether Benjamin Lacey won coming off missing last week, or if it was Brett driving through the field twice. So love the finish there, love the pass, love the clean racing and the respect shown in that pass. And, yeah, that was a super exciting one. But as we head into Chicagoland, it's going to be another dicey one. It's going to be that 550 high downforce package, and it's going to be like another. I'm going to equate it to, I think we went to Vegas earlier in the season, so it's going to be another one of those, and it makes for some close racing, which we're probably going to see a lot of cautions, and it's going to be a lot of guys getting torn up. So that's going to have some huge playoff implications. But as always, make sure you're following us on Facebook and Instagram at Bandit Racing League on Instagram, Bandit Racing League on Facebook. I post the updated playoff standings for the playoff drivers there, as well as giving you a little breakdown, a quick synopsis on the past week's race. So make sure you're following us there for all the updates on the Bandit Racing League, as well as your playoff picture kind of update weekly. But yeah, no, one thing I do want to say, and maybe we can work on this, but for Talladega, we got to see if we can maybe dial up old Evan Wall, maybe get a 3-man booth, even if it's for a short stint of the race. He can pop in for maybe 20 laps, and he can get a good old he turned him in, because I know it's going to happen. But with that, Marshall, thank you as always for having me up here. I know it's I had a little bit of a late appearance this week, but better late than never. But yeah, thank you once again for having me up here. What an exciting race. I'm so happy to call these with you each and every week. So yeah, thank you again. And for everybody else at home, we'll see you next week.
We will indeed, folks. For Marshall Crocker, Chris Ferreira, and the rest of the Bandit Racing League, I have been your host for tonight here on Full Send Racing Network. Thank you, everybody. We will see you in a week's time here at Chicagoland Speedway for another awesome round of the Season 11 playoffs here in the Bandit Racing League. Brett Kusick, your winner at Darlington, and we will see you in 7 days' time.